This is Lost Judgment. It is a sequel to a spin-off game set in the Yakuza universe. So, we'll be playing this. Yeah, cool. Right, so I'll get into more about what the game's about and how to play it when we start. So, we will get going in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, let's go. Right, so, in this side series called Judgment, and the sequel is called Lost Judgment, obviously, we play as a guy called Takayuki Yagami, who runs a detective agency after he stopped being a lawyer. So we're just going to go through the short tutorial section of basically a bunch of mechanics that we barely ever use, which is very useful because they're very prevalent in the first game and pretty slow. Oh, and I'm playing with the English dub. There's actually a specific reason for that. It does actually save time, so I'll get more to that when we actually get to the segment where it does save time, but it saves quite a large margin. So this is actually a tailing section. This is the only one we have to do in this speedrun. In the first Judgment game, there's loads of these you have to do. But yeah, they made them a little bit better in this game, and then we don't have to do any of them. We only have to do this one. So yeah, so whenever he sees us, we get to look at our phone. And just wait for him to move. So the way these work is every time he hears you or sees you, he'll look and it fills up his bar. But he also has set positions where he'll stop and do things. Right here, he'll start looking about and he'll try and turn around. But if I'm far enough back, he won't see me. Then when he gets up this ramp here, he'll start running towards the goal. And once he starts running, I can actually do the sprint to where I need to go, which is right here. Then I can get here before he even gets there. All right, cool. Alright, so now we've got to take a photo of these guys. This is just another bit of the tutorial. Basically taking evidence photos whenever we need to. Now. Oh, I didn't get the right focus. Doesn't matter. Right. There we go. It's like a pixel up. Alright, so now you can just skip that. Alright, so a lot of the cutscenes you can actually skip in this game, but there's some dialogue things where you can't skip. We just have to mash through them. And there we go. Alright, so now we have to wait for this guy to move a little bit. So we're actually gonna stop him from doing some stopping and looking. So you can actually get deliberately caught by the people you're tailing, and it stops them from performing certain actions. So Kosuke here normally goes up there, starts looking around. But if you go over here and just do this, he skips the entire thing because he sees you. And then he goes, "Oh, dude, I don't need to do that." Then he goes down here. He's gonna try and do the same thing down here, but we're gonna do the same thing again, where we're gonna run him over here, then run away, and look at the floor again. Thankfully, after this, we actually get into some combat, which is more what the Yakuza games are known for. So, right, and if you actually do that bit correctly, he actually runs earlier than not. So we're actually going to wait here a little bit because because tailing section guys actually, as I said, listen for audio as well. So I need this guy to be far enough away before I can jump over the sign here. And now I just need to wait for him to get to the end. Alright, there we go. Alright, he's going to do a little bit of walking. He's going to stop there, then he's going to turn the corner in a second. There he goes. And then we get to run all this way. There we go. Now that's the end of the tailing section. So, another thing that the Yakuza games are pretty known for is having really annoying combat tutorials. Luckily, in this game, we can just completely skip the tutorials. We still have to do the fight, but we don't have to do the requirements of the tutorials. Skip through all the text. Got some lovely thugs here. Right, so it still gives us the prompt, but we can just go, cutscene, skip that. So, combat. We're mostly going to be seeing Tiger Style used because it's pretty busted. And this combo here I'm doing is very good. Alright. And a lot of the fights can be broken apart by just doing Tiger combos in the correct way. Crane is used a little bit more towards the end of the run, where we have to do a bit more AoE, which is where that combat style really shines. Sadly, the third combat style we get in this game, called Snake, is based around throws and counters, which isn't very useful, so we don't really get much use out of that one. So yeah. Sadly, we have a second half of the tailing section before we can actually move on, but luckily this bit's really short, so this guy goes into this car park here, and For context of why we're tailing him, basically, he's been taking money from women to go and gamble, and then basically begging them for more money, saying that he needs it for paying specific debts and other things, and then he just goes and gambles the money away again. And one of the people he did it to asked Yagami and his partner Kaito, who work at their detective agency, to look into it for her. Alright, so while I'm getting to the end of this chase tail section, Tony, if you've got anything you want to talk about or say, please feel free to go ahead now.
I appreciate it, Rebel. We are, of course, raising money for Alzheimer's Fonden. Alzheimer's Fonden is the Swedish fundraising organization focused on Alzheimer's disease and other dementia-related diseases. Alzheimer's Fonden's aim and purpose is to increase fundraising to the benefit of scientific research in order to find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. And don't forget, folks, that all donations, subs, and bits will be donated to the charity, so feel free to keep those donations coming.
Cool, so now we get into some investigation mode stuff. So this is something that you do a few times throughout the run. We basically just have to go and focus on the right things to complete the sections. And then right afterwards, we get introduced to another new mechanic that they introduced into this game, which is the parkour system, where we do a little bit of parkour. It's very much in a Dragon Engine style, which means it is very janky and will break on you sometimes for no real reason. So sometimes fun shenanigans can happen where controls don't work or the camera messes up, or sometimes you just fall off for no real reason. So jittering the camera here. Go that. Okay, thanks Yagami, you're facing the wrong way. As I said, shenanigans. So now we're gonna... Don't get on that again, Yagami. Go. Let's go over here. Up here.
You hanging in there, buddy?
Alright, so the first tutorial I actually did, where I used Tiger to fight all the enemies, that was actually the Crane tutorial, meant to teach you about how AoE combat works, and I just did it with the combat style that's meant to be for one-on-one combat, because it's just that good. So now this is the Tiger tutorial. The Tiger tutorial is incredibly simple. It's just beat up two guys. Alright, two more dudes here. Oh yeah, and shoutouts to the music in this game. It's just actually fantastic. Oh, thanks, Yagami. There we go. So you can normally do that in one combo if Yagami faces the right direction when he does his second charge tip. But he didn't really face the right way there. Alright, and so now we get the stealth tutorial. So this game actually has some stealth sections in it instead of the tailing sections. There's a number of these that you do. So this one here is pretty basic. You just have to basically watch skip all the cutscenes and then get on with it. Right. So this bit here, we have to pick up a key before this guy sees us. But we're gonna just slip through there, pick up the key, and then you can actually run here. And this guy does not see you in time, so you can just completely dupe him. Wait here for a second. There we go. Open that, and we're gonna pick up a free Standman here. That restores your health and heat, which is very useful for later. So this is lockpicking. This is another mechanic that you do a lot in the first Judgment. Nice. This game you do it twice, which is right here and right at the end of the game. Which is very funny that they tutorialize something that you only do once, basically. Alright, so now this is a takedown after we throw the coins. So the coins are used as distractions. There's another distraction that we get in a bit, which is also very useful, but coins distract, and then you can use the takedown. During the stealth missions, Yagami's basically useless when it comes to combat, so you have to use the coins and the other means of distracting to get through that. Right, so the reason we were heading to the tatami room here is because that's where Kosuke was hanging out and doing all of his gambling. So now we're actually going to punch Kosuke for stealing people's money. So at the start of Kosuke, he can go either to the left or the right, and depending on which direction he goes, depends on what you do. So I'm going to do that, dash, and then do the heat move. So if he goes to the left, you actually don't need to do the heat move, and you can save a bar of heat, but it doesn't really matter too much because you get max heat in the next tutorial bit anyway, where we have to use the EX mode. So EX mode is something that they introduced in the first Dragon Engine game, and it's very, very good. It basically gives you super armor on a lot of your attacks and makes it so you can do more damaging combos, like this combo here. And just completely body everything. There we go. That was a really good tutorial for the EX mode there. So that's basically how broken Tiger can be. It can just blow through enemies. And in this game, when enemies get knocked back into each other, when they ragdoll into each other, they actually do damage or multiple hitboxes of damage. So normally what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to line up enemies to make sure they fly back into each other. Alright, so this is a chase section. This is kind of an auto-scroller, but you have to do these right or you do lose a lot of time. Thankfully for this one, there's only one part of it where you can really mess it up. But all it is make sure you do the QTEs at the right points when they appear. I pretty much know what most of them are off the top of my head. Because they're the same every time. So this one coming up here is left, right, and then it's triangle. Alright, cool. So, doing the QTEs right actually give you like bits of your sprint meter back up in the corner, and picking up the balls actually does as well. Whenever there's a truck, it's hold towards the truck. So when we get around this corner, Kosuke is actually going to speed up a bit. That means he's preparing to throw something at me, which is always X. And at the end of this alleyway here, we have to choose to either go left or right. You just have to make sure you follow where the guy you're chasing went. So we're going to go to the left. Dodge one of them again. And then we're going to catch him. Right, so after we're done with that, we actually get introduced to a few more characters which were very prevalent in the first Judgment story, which is all the people at the Genda Law office. So this is Yagami finding out about what's happening with Kosuke and who he owes money to and stuff, and then decides to go help him. But in order to help protect his client, he's going to drop her off at the Genda Law office for her to be looked after. Alright, so we're going to go in here. Skip a couple of cutscenes. Right, so... Oh, yep, talk to Genda. Genda here used to be your sensei from when you were learning how to be a lawyer. Right. So that there is actually the start of the main crime that happens in this, where a woman gets basically sexually assaulted in a train line, because we love our gritty crime drama stuff. Alright, so now we actually have to go to the den of these the Yakuza thugs that Kosuke owes money to, and we're just gonna okay, well, I guess I'm going the wrong way. I normally go backwards there, but that's fine. Pick that guy. Then I'm going to EX mode. Start going in. Something else you have to do in combat in this. Normally there are heat moves that you can do, but if you hold the camera button, which is LT, it just completely deactivates them. So during each fight is what I'm doing. And that was a pretty standardish fight. I went the wrong direction at the start. You meant to go backwards and hit the guys, but instead I went forwards, which was not the most optimal. Alright, so now we're going back here. Alright, so yep, so that is the first part of the trial where a I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. This is the hardest part of running any Yakuza game, is remembering all the names of the characters. Where am I going? That's where I'm going. Gotta remember where I gotta go as well. Alright, so we're gonna make a quick stop here at the Ebisu Pawn, because there's actually equipment in this game, and equipment's very important for increasing our damage early on before we actually buy the attack boost. So we're actually gonna quickly stop in here, buy a item in here. Oh, I didn't mean to buy that. That's fine. That really doesn't affect our money route in the slightest, because we get so much money in this game anyway. Now, skip that. And now we're getting to the end of the tutorial part, which is what we call the prologue. There we go.
I wasn't it?
Right, there we go. Skip through that. Skip the DMCA song that will completely body the VOD if you let it play. Then we get into Chapter 1. So, Chapter 1 is not actually based around the main crime of this. It's based around bullies in a school, and you basically helping a head teacher get to the bottom of a case of bullying that he's come across. But before we do that, we got to go stop some school children from hanging out outside a cafe owner's cafe. And, you know, in true Yakuza fashion, the way we're going to do that is we're going to punch him. Because that solves everything in these games. Absolutely everything. Alright, cool. So something about that as well, that fight spawn was chasing me. Because that's a loading trigger at the end, you actually can normally, in most cases, you can skip the fight by just getting into the loading trigger early enough. I'm going to do that. I missed the dodge. Right, so something I'll be trying to go for throughout the run is... I didn't mean to do that. When you finish attacks where you charge, you can actually dodge out of them if you time your dodge input correctly. So dodge cancelling is a big part of actually doing combos fast in this, so trying to do that over and over and over again is incredibly useful.
Sure.
Right, cool. Skip that, skip that. Oh, you can't skip that one. I always forget which ones you can. I can't skip. Sometimes there's so many. Right, so we're actually in Yokohama, which is a city that got introduced in Yakuza 7, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, as it's more commonly known. And in this city, some characters from the first Judgment, Tsukumo and Sugiura, actually set up a detective agency. Oh, there we go. And we're basically in town to help them out with the job at the school. So while Tsukumo compares bullies to cavemen, Tony, if you've got anything you need to say, please feel free to go ahead now.
I appreciate that, Rebel. We actually have a $20 donation from GP that says, glitch away. So that donation is going towards the Any Percent Glitch exhibition for Prey, which currently stands at $583 out of a goal of $1,000. So that will showcase additional glitches that hadn't made it into the run. So if you'd like to see that goal met, feel free to put some donations towards that.
So that was a short conversation I had with the headmaster about what's going on at the school, but before we do anything else, we need to get a skateboard. Because, you know, this makes sense. So the skateboard's actually pretty cool. Sadly, we don't get to use it too much for movement because, as you might have seen, you can taxi from the menu. So that completely breaks this game open, but you can do things like kickflips and ollies and such, and collect these little tokens which you can spend in a skateboarding shop, but we never actually get to that point. So we're hurrying to Ebisu Pawn because Tsukumo wants a figure that's on sale, and we need to get there before they will get sold out. So we have to go on this little assault course. One thing you have to be careful of around here is the cars will hit you, they do not care, and they just lose you time. But if you get lucky and you ollie at the right timing, you can just go over them. Alright, so one of the reasons why he wants the doll is because he doesn't want to buy it from... I don't know what happened there. Because he doesn't want to buy it from scalpers online. So there's actually a scalper that turns up, the Nasty Man. So we're going to punch the Nasty Man real quick. Charge that. Dodge. And then use the EX move. So that's a dodge cancel right there. You can dodge out of it. And because I dodged towards him, I can then do the heat move as fast as possible. Alright, cool. So now we've got the doll for Tsukumo, and then we get to move on to going into the school. Alright, now we need to go here. And you can skip the fade out for resting on the sofa, which is very funny. Oh, that's unskippable. Of course it's unskippable. Why would it be skippable? Alright, so this is when Tsukumo tells us about how we're gonna basically go into the school because the headmaster is the only one who in the school who actually knows that who knows about the hired detectives. No other teacher or anyone else in the school knows. So before we do that, we're going to quickly go in here. We're going to put on that. We're going to put on that, and then we're going to go in there. We're going to buy attack level 1. We're going to go there. All right, cool. So the items I just put on there gives me about 14% extra on my attack. Then I brought an attack level 1 because it makes the fight coming up at the end of this chapter a lot faster. Alright, so now we're in a bit of a walk-in section here. Something very funny in the Dragon Engine games, you want to open doors from the middle because it actually saves like 4 seconds to open the doors from the middle. You open them from the side, you get a longer animation. Alright, so what we're actually doing is we're actually checking around different places and placing down cameras. Which, you know, can be seen as kind of a bad thing, but in this case we're doing it to try and locate bullying wherever we can. So, as I said, opening doors from the middle, I will always try and do that. There's instances where you can't because there are some doors that are only one-sided. So we're going to open doors from the middle here. And another funny thing that you can do is when you're walking up the stairs and you can't run, going up the stairs in first person is actually faster. And by faster, I mean way faster. So we're going to go in first person all the time in any section where we need to walk. And we can't sprint, so we need to go around here. We're going to put a camera in the boys' toilet. And then gonna quickly go into first person mode. Right, so there's a guy up here who has 2 options of how to like get him to move. One of them is to go around the back of him and look at the cigarette and basically threaten to get him done for smoking on school ground. Or the more favorable option, you can look at the bottle, talk to him, and then bribe him instead. And there we go. Go into first person again. Because walking is faster in first person than your standard walking speed. So go around to Kaito. Skip some cutscenes. Right, so now we're going to go into Class 2-2, which is where we heard the main case of bullying was taking place. And we can see it happening right there. And then the teacher comes in and starts having to go at us, and we just go, is this how you treat people? Jesus. Right, oh, I can run now. Hell yeah. Right, so now we're going to go to the gymnasium because that's where we said we'd meet Sugiura and Tsukumo, so we're going to go over here. So this is a case where we can only open it from one side. There we go. That's an incredibly slow animation. That's why we open it from the middle. Cool. And now we're going to run around here. And basically we're heading back to Class 2-2. Oh, that's what happens when you go down the stairs too fast. You just fall over. I'm going to go back to Class 2-2 because we need to do a quick investigation because we've seen on the security footage that this girl here was getting bullied. So we're going to look at her hand, look at that, and then we're going to look at her head. And there we go. And then we need to go up to the principal's office afterwards and have a short conversation with him about the actual who the problem is with this situation. God, the classrooms are the worst to move around in when you're not in combat, because when you're in combat you can actually move around all the tables and such, but when you're not in combat they are solid brick objects that you can't do anything with. Alright, so I'm going to quickly run up here. The chairman's office is actually on the 3rd floor. The school does actually have a 4th floor, but while I'm going and talking to the chairman, Tony, if you've got something you need to read out, please feel free to go ahead.
That sounds good, because I have a wonderful donation, a $50 donation from Bobby the Blacktastic, who says, is Yagami like Sega's Phoenix right? I wonder.
Yeah. Wow, he's basically the detective of the Yakuza universe. Right, so we're actually going around here because someone actually put a sticker over one of the cameras, and it was actually one of the students that was bullying the girl before, Koda. Now we have a stealth section we have to do. So this is the school stealth section. This is probably one of the longer stealth sections in the game because you have to do a lot in it. So there's this first bit here, which we learn about hanging, and yeah, funny camera angle. Real quick. All right, so now we're gonna go around here. Right, so stealths in this game can actually be kind of difficult sometimes because sometimes the enemies will have fast or slow reactions to you, and sometimes where they're looking is not always 100% consistent. So sometimes you will expect something and then you get a different result, which is pretty normal, but it can get very frustrating because there's some security officers in a room on the rooftop that we need to go by that sometimes just randomly decide to face the wrong direction. So we're going to jump down here. We're going to try and land on the free stand man because we want it. You don't have to grab that, but you have to wait for that to load anyway before you can do it. You have to wait for Tsukumo to come up there. Alright, so another stealth section. Right, so look at that guy. then we're going to run right here. So in stealth sections, you normally crouch and walk. You can hold sprint, but you can't toggle sprint like you can normally. So we're going to hold sprint there. We're going to look at those guys. So this is where we get the smoke bombs. Smoke bombs are very useful because they basically stun enemies for free and make it so you don't have to wait for them to be distracted by a coin.
Yeah.
So now I can mash through that. So the rooftop here. We're just going to... Oh, okay. Sometimes it doesn't give you control straight away, so you can't always walk. And if I get good luck here, which I think I'm going to get... Oh, that was insane. That was actually insane. All right, and I just ran straight past them. So... The smoke pellets that you have, there are some collectibles here. There's actually 2 that we grabbed here. We're going to grab that one because we need it. We're going to throw a coin at that guy. And we're going to walk past him because if you try and run past him, he will see you instantly. Then we're going to run around here. And this guy should be in the right spawn point, which is there. So we're going to throw a smoke bomb at him. We have enough time to run down here, grab this smoke bomb. Then we're going to run around here and go down to the end here. And then right after this, we actually get a tutorial into the mortal attack system in this game. So in the first Judgment game, mortal attacks were incredibly deadly because what they did is they basically, when they did damage to you with them, it actually took away your HP. It like capped it at a lower cap until you went and got it healed, or you used a particular incredibly expensive type of healing item. But in this game, they changed it so they're basically really powerful attacks that stun you for a while, but you can counter them at the right time to get a massive amount of damage on whoever you're countering. So we're going to try and do that well, you have to do it to the tutorial guide. The game basically forces you to do it. But first we got to watch Yagami do some stuff with the rugby ball. Alright, so I actually start this fight in Snake. I don't know why it changes your style, but I'm going to switch to Crane because Crane has a bunch of AoE on it. So what I'm going to do with the Crane AoE is I'm going to use it to hit a ton of enemies, build up some meter, but then I'm going to change to Tiger to start picking off the individual enemies while I don't really care about the big guy with the big HP bar. So we're going to do that. And switch to that. So another change they made in this game with the combat is in the first Judgment you could only change styles at the apex of your combos, but in this they made it so you could change styles whenever you wanted in combat. So we're going to go over here. Now I'm going to go into EX mode and start going nuts on this guy, and he's going to go into there. Just start doing that. Yeah, cool. And then we're going to... And that should finish him off. There we go. That was easy. Right, so... I get a bunch of money. Right, so that's the Mortal Counter tutorial. Luckily, right after that, we get teleported straight back outside of the school. So we have to go to the one taxi point that we basically use throughout the entire run, which is Commercial District, Yokohama 99. We go back here like so many times because it's like the main hub in this game for everything that you do. So we're going back here to rest, and then we're going to go back to the school tomorrow to try and help out Coda real quick. All right, so... skip that, hit the rest. Right. And then we're going to obviously go back to the school and then go through the end of Chapter 1. So do that, go... Right, and then at the end of Chapter 1 is actually when we get started on the actual plot of this. So before I get into that, Tony, if you've got anything you need to say, please feel free to go ahead.
That is perfect. Thank you, Rebel. We have a very, very generous $105 donation from Winter Waltz that says, I love ESA, I love learning about speedrunning, and I love the cause. Hoping to see a cure for Alzheimer's. And they're putting $100 of that to any percent glitch for Prey, as well as $5 for Paint the Town Red for the Spare the Traitor donation incentive. So we appreciate it so much. Of which the upcoming run for Paint the Town, the Spare or Kill the Traitor, is currently sitting at $45 for Spare the Traitor versus Kill the Traitor. So we have a little $5 lead, and we've increased the goal for, we've increased the total to $683 out of 1,000 for the Prey glitch exhibition. So thank you so much.
Alright, so the bit I just did there is at the start of this chapter, at the end of the previous chapter, we get asked by the Gendalore office to take a look into the crime I mentioned earlier about the sexual battery cases, what it will be referred as mostly throughout the game. And then after that, we decide we need to go around and talk to a few people about what's been happening, and we notice a photo on one of the characters' desks, which is related to what's happening. Right, so now before I do anything, I just have to beat these guys up real quick. They really need to learn not to fight me. This guy's gonna come at me. There we go. Alright, that doesn't matter. They try and attack you with baseball bats, and the whole point of that fight is you're meant to learn that you can actually steal weapons off of enemies using Snake, but you can just go into Tiger and completely destroy them. Right, so now that we actually have sorted quote unquote the bullying issue at the school, because we know who the culprits are now. And we showed them what for at the end of the first chapter by calling them out using this using a set of speakers we put on the desk, which is why we did the entire stealth section. We actually no longer have a inn to be able to freely go in and out of the school, so we're currently looking for that. So this is Amasawa. She runs the basically the mystery research club at the school. And we're going to become the club advisor, and that's how we get our in at the school. You actually suppose the game kind of wants you to go along with Amasawa, but you can actually just run to where she's going, and it starts the cutscenes anyway. Give that. Right, so she wants to test. She wants to test us before we can do anything. So she asks us to go and help out the dancing club. So in this game, RGG actually couldn't get the licensing agreements to get the main voice actor and likeness usage of Yagami to sing. So instead what they decided to do is to make the rhythm game based around dancing. So normally in most of the Yakuza games you have to skip the karaoke or the music game tutorials and all that other stuff. But in this game, yeah, we actually have to we have to play a little bit of dancing, and it's very, very cool. Because if you go through the story of this, you help take the take the dance club to nationals or whatever. So we get a bunch of kung fu based dance moves, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna just quickly play the tutorial song. Right, and a bunch of pop-ups in the middle. All right, so as you can see, they get very intricate and they are very cool dancing routines. So. Sadly, we only get to see about 30 seconds of it before it decides to go, no, that's enough. You basically also automatically clear this one as well. You don't even have to play if you didn't want to. I like pressing buttons, so I press the buttons anyway. Once Yagami's done doing his little dance, he stops halfway through a move, which is like, why? Just let him finish. Alright, cool. Skip through all that. Alright, so... Where we're going next. That's where I'm going next. Alright, so next up we're actually going to go looking for Coda a little bit because we need to ask her a question. What that question is, I cannot remember the specifics of this plot point, but we need to find her. So going in the middle. There's multiple ways that you can get to this, but this is actually the fastest way, is to go through the building here. And she's in this classroom here. We ask her a question, and then we get asked by one of the other students to go to the 3rd floor. Which is her. And when we get to the 3rd floor, we get flung into another fight, which I'm actually going to buy another couple of abilities. I'm going to buy another attack level up, and I'm going to buy a upgrade for Tiger style called Hidden Tiger Arts level 1. And what this does is every time I land a Tiger charged attack, it gives me a short attack buff while I'm in Tiger. There's an ability you get later which applies it to every style, but we don't need to do that right now. So I just need it for Tiger for now, just to make sure I can do enough damage to these guys to finish them off fast. So quickly pause there, grab that, and grab that, and charge that, charge that. and just go through these guys one by one. Basically, you can use your heat. You can use your heat here if you want, but there's not a lot of point because you have another fight coming up right after this. So you want to save it for that bit because it's much more useful there. So this is a cutscene you can't skip. The way you can tell is because it's still got the thing up in the corner that says defeat these punks again. Yeah, so this is meant to be a pretty safe school, but yeah, there's just kids running around with box cutters trying to cut people. Very, very standard in the Yakuza universe. So we're going to jump out the window, which makes all the sense in the world. And now we can skip the cutscene when that guy walks into the classroom. So this is just another short parkour section. There's actually an incredibly important item we're going to pick up, which actually doesn't get much use until the finale, but if you can get use out of it, it does save back the time that you used to grab it. So there's a book up here for something called Wounded Tiger. And what this does is when you're in critical HP or red HP when in the Tiger style, your damage actually increases. Which basically means that towards the end of the game, if I have the opportunity, yeah, I crit build. So, because you normally don't increase your HP in like runs of this, hoping in the finale that you get hit into crit HP and you can maintain it without dying. Because that it just makes you do so much damage. So the end of this run can get very risky if you play it that way, but I normally play it by ear what I do, so skip that cutscene. Right, so now this is another boss. So we've got to deal with the delinquent students again. Now we're going to go like that, and then we're going to go into that. Start punching these guys. And that was actually a really good fight. So I completely skipped his mortal phase there. He has an entire phase, which... Oh, and the ragdoll. I completely skipped an entire phase there of that guy where he can go invincible and stop people from doing stuff. Right, so now we got to go look for Sawa Sensei. So Sawa Sensei was the desk... she's the person who has the photo on the desk we looked at a little bit earlier with the very important characters for later in the game. When we get into that part of the story... Oh, that guy really tried to run into me there. So, but we need to go talk to her again because we want to know what's happening. So now we need to go look at this again. And she has a photo on her desk underneath all the pictures of her friends of a guy called of a character called Mitsuru Kusumoto, if I remember correctly. And basically, he is a kid from long ago who got bullied and attempted suicide. And yeah. That didn't go well. He ended up in a coma, and he's been in a coma since. Oh, yeah, that's the end of Chapter 2. And basically, a lot of the end of this plot is all weaved around him being in his coma and him waking up from his coma, so. Right, so now we're in Chapter 3. Basically, Sawa Sensei tells us to leave her alone. She actually doesn't want to talk to us, so we're not going to talk to her. We're actually just going to leave. Because we don't want to upset a potential source of information. Something very annoying in this game, you actually can't taxi from inside the school. It's like a different part of the map completely. So you have to leave through the front door every time and then you can taxi. If it could be patched in that we could taxi from inside the school, that'd be hella useful, but you know. As I said, we're going to head back to Yokohama 99 because we go back there all the time. So before, at the start of the run, I mentioned we're actually playing in English for like a specific reason. We're actually coming up on that section right now. So normally in most speed games, Japanese use it in written text and scrolling text ends up faster than English. But in this game, the opposite is in effect. Because in spoken, Japanese sometimes is longer than English because they have more long-winded ways of saying things than we do in English. So in playing in English saves about 30 to 40 seconds in this unskippable cutscene because Tsukumo just doesn't talk as much in English as he does in Japanese. So it's just shorter. So while this entire unskippable is going ahead, if you have anything you need to talk about, Tony, please feel free to go ahead.
So it's still paying some false positives.
I appreciate that so much. Wanted to take a moment to mention the prizes that are up for grabs when putting in donations. A $100 cumulative donations over the course of the marathon can get you in the running for the PS5, one for the EU as well as one for the North American region. A cumulative $50 donation can get folks in the running for a Nintendo Switch, as well as a RetroLink 5X Pro adapter as well. A $40 cumulative donation over the course of the marathon can get you in the running for a ViewSonic Elite XG24 monitor from ViewSonic Gaming as well. And yeah, just feel like you don't have to put any one donation. Again, folks, these are all cumulative over the course of the marathon. So a couple small donations can get you in the running for those, or one large donation, whatever you feel comfortable with. So feel free to throw some donations in there to get you in the running for those wonderful prizes.
Well, let's just start with a post that smells like trouble.
Alright, so the post we're actually going to click on in this entire search keyword screen is actually Arachnid Man, because obviously they couldn't use Spider-Man. That's a copyright name. So they just went with the Arachnid Man instead. So we're going to go pay a visit to the Arachnid Man.
Interesting.
So he's over by a basically by like a, I can't think, a residential building. That's the word. I couldn't think of the word there. Right. So once we go there, we get given a sound device, which is what we use to locate him. It's the only time we use it as part of the story. We get a few items that we only use as part of the story once, and the reason why we use them as part of the story is because they're required to do as like a as just a tutorial for them, and they're used in the side cases and all the side content and stuff. In the first Judgment game, we actually had to do some of the side content as part of the main story. You don't have to do that in this game at all. This game is incredibly fast-paced. You don't have to do like any of the side stuff. So now we're gonna go and it's there. So there's a short bit of text we need to skip from Yagami here. I'm going to go to first person mode, switch to that, and we're going to go up there. And that is the Arachnid Man hanging from a building. So we're going to go help him because he looks like he's in trouble. Jump, jump. So this is just more parkour. I'm just going to move over twice here because it actually lines you up perfectly to just mash circle up here to jump up all of them. And then we get to talk to him about why he's up here. And we talk about like swallows not being in season, and are you a resident, and don't you get help? Don't you think you should get help? And he's just like, I don't know. And then what he's actually doing is he's a panty pincher, so we're gonna punch him for being a panty pincher, which is just how things work around here. So I'm actually gonna try and do a kind of a specific combo on him here, and hope he gets knocked down in the right way. And he did, which means that should one-shot him right there. If he slides in the wrong direction from that backhand, he can survive the combo, which can be very annoying, and you have to try and pick him up afterwards. But if he slides in the right way there, you get the kill on him every time. Alright, back to Yokohama 99. Because we actually also agreed to talk to... Sawa Sensei contacted us and agreed to talk to us. But we have to go to the place that she specified. So we're basically going to wait until we can go there. Right, which is... There we go. Skip that. This tells us about how side cases work and such. We don't need to worry about that right now. Because we don't do any. Right, so I'm going to meet with her. I need to go to that one there. Right, so we're going to a restaurant called Plague here, or Plage, or something along those lines. I never remember the... I got caught on the flag again. I keep getting caught on the flag whenever I try and run past that. Alright. Right, so before we can go in there, though, as per tradition with a Yakuza game, because we're trying to get some important story elements, there is a fight before we can go in there with these masked men. So this is actually the this is a group of thugs that operate in Yokohama. Give me a second just to buy Rising Blow. Rising Blow is very important. We need it for getting up, obviously, if we get knocked down. And we're just gonna keep going on these guys. And there should be a guy behind me. Oh, there was a guy behind me, but I whiffed. There we go. Oh, nice. And we're gonna kick that guy. There we go. Right, so after this, we get given a photo of a... I've actually forgotten the guy's name. But basically, at the start of the game, this guy is murdered, and... most of the game is trying to figure out how to get the guy who murdered him to get prosecuted for that, because he's hidden the murder behind the sexual battery case, which I brought up before, which he actually staged with the help of a few people that we'll get into a bit later. So this is Kuwana. Kuwana's very important throughout the story, but the first time we meet him, we have to punch him because, as per tradition, this is Yakuza. How to introduce any new characters is to beat him up. But he's actually pretty cool. He actually like picks up on how Yagami fights and like copies him and such. So the first phase of this, before that cutscene, you want to just get into, you want to get a Tiger Boost, and then afterwards you want to go into this and you want to just start going nuts on him. And he'll go into his... Oh, if I get lucky here. Ah, I didn't get lucky there. Oh, and then I missed time my dodge. Big sads. So this is what happens when you miss time a mortal counter. You just get thrown on the floor and you can't do anything about it. So you just have to wait for yourself to get up, and then you can punch him. Alright, so you would think that would probably be the end of Chapter 3. We have a little bit more of Chapter 3 to go before we can do anything. So basically our friends save us from getting done by the police for fighting in the middle of the street. But before we do that, we run into this guy, and this guy is the extract guy from the first Judgment. And he teaches us how to use one called the Warrior's Onslaught, which is an incredibly broken item. And it does this. And you'll see it a little bit later, because we're going to use it to body some of the endgame bosses, because it is very busted and does a lot of damage. And it's actually also affected by things like Wounded Tiger and stuff, so it does even more damage when you're in Wounded Tiger. So, yeah. Alright, so this guy's teaching us how extracts work. If we could actually get ingredients to do some of these, but a lot of these ingredients are really rare, really hard to get a hold of, so we can't actually make any more of these, which is very annoying. Because if we could make more of these, it would be very useful for the run, but we just can't. We just don't have the resources to do so. Alright, cool. Back to this Yokohama 99, because we've got to talk to Tsukumo. Tsukumo has a bit more information for us about what's happening. Talk to him. And that's the end of the chapter. So we're heading into one of the longer chapters in the game, where there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, which is Chapter 4. So Chapter 4 and the finale are actually the two longest chapters. This one's about 20 minutes. The finale's 25-ish. So, yeah, these are pretty long chapters for this game, considering most of them are like 10 minutes or under. There's a few that are like less than that.
Right.
Just go through some few cutscenes. So we actually have to quickly make a visit to the school before we go anywhere, because we need to talk to Sawa-sensei. Alright, I've just scrolled through my notes, and I have the name of the guy who supposedly murdered and or was involved in the case of sexual battery. His name's Ihara. His name just completely escaped me because there's so many names in this game. Alright, Sawa-sensei's upset because all the stuff that's happening around her. So we can't talk to her right now because she's too upset to talk to us. So we're gonna, actually instead, we're gonna go take a look at the crime scene. So we can have a bit more of an idea about what happened and what's going on. The crime scene is in Koreatown. I don't remember the name of the taxi point, but I know which one it is. Right, as you've probably assumed, actually, so normally in most Yakuza games, actually, they have issues with like dealing with fight spawns and such. In this game, there's like 4 ways of despawning fights, and because you can taxi from the menu, you never have to worry about getting into fight spawns. So we can just pretty much like just avoid like most complications. There's only a few instances where we have to deal with them. Alright, so we get another investigation here. We're basically trying to look for an entry point into the crime scene, which is the abandoned building around here. So we're gonna climb through this hole in the fence, and then we're gonna try and do some parkour again. You can actually fall off during this section pretty easily, and it is very annoying. You lose like 30 seconds to a minute depending on where you fall off. But if you go from here, and you get tutorialized on a few things like wall running, and on iron balls, and on iron bar swings. Alright, and if you time the QTs right here, you get SP. It really doesn't change anything. I just like getting the SP pop-ups. Right, so you can actually fall off here pretty easily if you're not careful. So you want to stop. And there we go, that's fine. And if you fall off there, you do lose like 30 seconds to 40 seconds trying to get back to where you were. It's very frustrating. Alright, so we're just climbing around. And we're going to go do a quick investigation on the crime scene. And then we actually get introduced to another very important character of this game. One of the police detectives from this area called Watanabe. Drop down there, that activates the cutscene. Talk to that one, talk to that one. So we're going to ask Watanabe various questions after showing him proof that we have an image of the guy who got murdered before he died.
What you said.
We just interrogate him a little bit. We talk about the time of death. We talk about the state of the body, what it was in, the time of death, the cause of burn marks all over the floor. And then if they found the murder weapon or not, which they actually didn't. So the murder weapon is still at large.
Sorry.
So, and because we're in here talking about something, we actually notice outside there were some people spying on us. So we're actually going to go chase one of them down, which is this guy here, the suspicious man. This is one of the first instances where we have to actually do these right, because we have to kick items at him, or he doesn't lose HP fast enough to finish, and he has to do another cycle around around most of the chase. So you have to get all the chases right going forward with what items are available for you to kick at people. And this guy will just start screaming, leave me alone the entire time. So we actually get to kick a football at these guys. We kick buckets and other things at people later on. Actually, there's a bucket in this one. We get to kick at this guy. But we get to kick a football at him, hits him in the back of the head. Very funny. You can actually, like get pretty far kicks. They're, like, kind of programmed to auto-home unless they turn a corner. So here comes a split path. We're going to go, obviously, the same direction as him. Do some QTEs. Alright, so you can actually, I think if you wanted to, you could probably skip the bucket that's coming up. I never normally want to risk it, because if he has like a sliver of health, I believe he does like go around the entire thing again, but you want to just make sure that he's at 0. Just to make sure. I'm going to just normally kick the bucket at him anyway. I do it in PB attempts as well. Then he turns his corner, and then you end the chase. If he doesn't turn that corner, you didn't do enough damage to him. So he will he'll run around the entire cycle until he gets to that corner again, because he has to turn that corner for you to end the chase. Because that's the only place where he actually stops, which is kind of silly that they give you the option to like do that, to do a lot of this stuff, but then they have to be in specific positions for you to actually do things anyway. Alright, so back to Yokohama 99. And we're going to be introduced to more use of the phone app that we used earlier. And we're going to go in the listen device. We're going to go, nope. It's that one, and it's the B. I just couldn't get the right menu there. Right, so Tsukumo here is having trouble trying to like get access to this building to do some investigation stuff. So we're going to flash our lawyer badge that we still have. And then that gets us access to do stuff. And now we get to use the skateboard for movement for once. So sadly, the skateboard isn't really used too much, because when we first saw this game, we thought that the skateboard would actually be hella fun. But the fact you can taxi from the menu, and in this game, unlike Like a Dragon, where you can also taxi from the menu, in that game you have to like unlock all the taxis. In this game, you just have the entire list like available instantly. Oh yeah, this is just a mission that gives you a free 300,000 yen just on the spot. It's actually free. And then, because we're actually right by the vocational school, we're actually going to go take a quick stop at the armor shop around here to pick up some items to make ourselves a bit more powerful. We're going to buy the battle box S, the safety belt, the X power. That's it. And then we're going to go menu. Put that. Oh god, I need to actually taxi back to Yokohama 99. Right, so when we get back to Yokohama 99, if I remember correctly, this is This is where Sayori from the Gendalore office asks us to meet with Hoshino from also from the Gendalore office tomorrow morning, where we need to go to the train station and do some investigation on the train station. So we need to get some rest. If I can talk to the sofa, that would also be very helpful. Right, so the reason why we need to go do some investigation at the train station is because we need to work out the route that that happened for the sexual battery that took place, because the news report at the very beginning of the game actually shows an entire thing of the guy chasing the woman and then being stopped. So we need to work out the route that they took and the security cameras and the directions that they were facing. So when we talk to this guy, we're going to look over here at that. We're going to look over there at that. And we're going to look over here at this one. So remembering where these cameras are can get very annoying. So there's one here. There's one there. There's one there. And there's another one down. There's another two down here that we need to grab. And then we're on the final set. So there's this one here. That one there. There's actually a hidden one right here, which can be very annoying to see if you're not if you're not prepared for it. So if you go around here, there's that one there. That one there. That one there. That one there. I'll move out of the way, please, boys. And there's one last camera here.
Suspicious.
And that's all the cameras. Right, so now we're going to map out the route that the culprit took. And we see there's a blind spot here. And this blind spot is basically the basis of every single theory that our detective men have in this. Is that blind spot is where everything went down. Alright, cool. So once we do that, we're going to go back through this. Alright, we need to go back to the school to talk to Sawa because we need to ask some questions. So whenever you go into the school, there's a lot of different ways you can move around the school. Optimally learning which ways to go in the school is actually pretty difficult because most corridors look exactly the same, but this route here is the shortest way to the faculty office. And we have some cutscenes with her explaining that she tried to report the case of the kid in the coma that I mentioned, Mitsuru Kusamoto, but she basically got overruled by higher ups, so she couldn't actually do anything about it, which is pretty sad in the long run. So taking the lift actually there is a little bit faster than running down the stairs, because you actually have to go outside if you run down the stairs there, because you're on the roof, so you're actually just in the right position to run straight to the lift, and you've only got to do one slowdown animation rather than two. Right, so I'm now coming up on a lot of people's favourite section of this that we like to call Detective Dog. There's a dog here that's also a detective. So while I'm getting to know Detective Dog and he's leading me around, Tony, if you've got anything you want to talk about or say, then please feel free to go ahead.
I appreciate that, Rebel. Give us an opportunity to tell us more about the charity that we're raising money for, Alzheimer's Fondant. Yearly Alzheimer's Fondant's Science Council and Board of Directors grant scientists, researchers, and projects around $4 million, and that's not nearly enough. The cost of dementia is a global challenge. If global dementia care were a country, it would be the 14th largest economy in the world. By 2030, it would be the 5th largest economy in the world. And just an extra piece of information, folks, in addition to the donations, all Twitch subscriptions, cheers, and ESA merch will be going towards Alzheimer's Fondant.
Got something? Doing great.
Alright, so Detective Dog here leads me around, and he leads me to a mother and a child that are very upset, and then he leads me to a bunch of Yakuza who are trying to basically blackmail the mother into going with them and leaving the child at an orphanage. We don't like that, so we're going to punch him. And hopefully this hits. Oh, I was just shy. That's very unfortunate that I had to do a second combo. You can do that in one combo, and if you aim it right, you can actually do it in like 2 hits. So. Right, so we find out now that the Detective Dog's name is actually Ranpo. And he's actually Amasawa's dog, so. And he actually becomes an option that we can select in the menu. When I mentioned there's multiple ways to despawn fights, earlier, you can actually use Detective Dog to despawn spikes, which is very useful and very funny that you just pull out a dog and enemies around you just disappear. Right, so we need to go back to Yokohama 99. So, during this, we're actually doing some discussion about what's happening and what's going on. But during this, we're actually going to get attacked by the like Limuang Mafia or something they're called. But first things first, I need to get more information from Tsukumo. And then we have to do a chase with a guy in the white mask, who turns out to be a guy called Tesso, who is a pretty cool character. Right, so first things first, we need to chase him around here. We actually get to kick a ball at him before he gets to do anything, so we're going to kick the football at him. And then he's going to throw 2 items at us, because he's going to speed up a little bit. There's one, there's a second one coming in about now. There it is, so we're going to slide under both of them. Around there, we're going to avoid those guys. And this corner's pretty annoying to turn sometimes, because you can get caught like that. And getting caught can actually be a huge problem in some of these. Because if you get caught, you end up too far behind them. And if you end up too far behind them, items you kick at them won't hit them. But luckily for Tesso, he's actually pretty nice to you. The one after this is not very nice to you if you mess up in any way. So, alright, so around here there's a bucket we get to kick at him. You only have to kick this bucket once, but just for the sake of a marathon, I'll do it twice to make sure he's actually going to be in low health. Alright, so we've got to do one more loop of the area, which is actually around here, which is pretty easy. So there's a bike here we got to jump over. He speeds up here, then he throws an item. We just have to dodge the cones because you can trip over them. It's left, right, left. And then we go around the corner here, and this same guy that we jumped over is still on his phone in the way, so we're going to jump over him again. Then we're going to kick a bucket at Tesso to make sure he is in low enough HP. Smack him in the back of the head with a bucket. Then he's going to go right here and up some stairs. This is actually the base of operations for this small group of people. And I missed it. If you actually fall at the right angle there, you can actually land on top of him and skip the animation I got of stumbling on the ground, which is very useful. Right, so right at the start of the test so far here, I'm just going to do a quick menu because I need to buy a few abilities. Right, so here's the Tesso fight. Tesso has Wolverine claws, because of course he does. Dude, and it's in the rain as well. It's pretty cool. So, before we fight him, I do need to do a menu. So we're going to quickly do that. We're going to pause that. We're going to go by Wounded Tiger, by EX Burst Attack. What else do I need to buy? Oh, I need to buy Triple Finisher for that. And then we're just going to do a triple finisher combo on him. That should push him through to first phase. And then we're going to go into EX mode. Charge attack. Charge attack. Take the hit there, then do that. And that completely finishes him off. So if you eat the first hit of his mortal attack there, it actually grounds him. So if you mortal try and counter too early, he stays in the air, and you just do a really, really long animation of you swinging your arms around, and it really doesn't do anything other than waste your time. So by waiting and taking a small bit of damage there, you can actually save yourself a lot of pain. And he's going to stand up in a second. There we go. That worked out so much in my favor. Right, so we're going to run up these stairs here. And hopefully if I get the right angle here, you can actually defeat a majority of these guys. Oh, they're in the wrong. If you go like that. Kick. And hopefully my partners will finish that guy off. There we go, we got that one. So we go down here. Kick. Oh my word, man. Calm down, please. Take your sword elsewhere. Hit that guy. That attack there is actually a lot worse in this game than it was in the original Judgment. The hitbox on it is really weird. And you do just kind of fly in random directions sometimes with it. So I try and use it to just dash at enemies. It doesn't always work, but it's the best option we have. So I'm going to run to this guy. 1, 2. Kick cancel into that. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, for dash cancel, and there we go, that's that guy. Oh, yo, thanks for the kick there, Kaito. That did enough damage just to make it so that I didn't have to do any more hits than that. Alright, so let's go through some cutscenes. And we got to go back to Yokohama 99 to check on Sugiura and Tsukumo. But they got a little bit beaten up by the guys that attacked us. Because Tsukumo isn't really a fighting type, and they basically just outnumbered Sugiura, so we do have to phone them an ambulance, and they do go to the hospital, so not very good for them, but it's fine. We're gonna go take a nap on the sofa. They'll be fine by the morning. It's all good. It's all good. Right, so now we actually get to go back to Kamurocho. So we've spent a long time not in Kamurocho. Now we're actually gonna go back to Kamurocho for a little bit because we need to go to the Gendalore office. So we're gonna head to Kamurocho. If I can pause, that would be very useful. Thank you. Right, so when we first get into Kamurocho here, you actually can't access the taxi menu. It's because there's actually a fight that the game expects you to go and do. Because there's a bunch of people looking, a bunch of ex-Yakuza looking for a guy with glasses in a photo. Cannot remember the guy's name for the life of me. But they're looking for him, and they ask us, and we go, we don't know. And they go, okay, we're going to punch you then until you tell us. So we're going to... Okay, that did not work out in my favor at all. So we're just going to hope this works out. Kick and dash at that guy. That was kind of okay considering everything that went wrong there, but that's perfectly fine. Right, so the end of this chapter is actually pretty simple. We need to go see Sayuri, then we need to go see Ihara in the detention center. We're going to quickly go over here. Alright, run right here. So normally whenever I'm going here, you can run out in the road. It doesn't really matter. If you don't have a partner with you, you can actually go on the skateboard. So another use that the skateboard has is that as long as you don't run into the fight spawn, they actually take longer to spot you if you're on the skateboard. So what you can do is you can use a skateboard to kind of skip past out without having to despawn enemies. So we're going to quickly go to the detention center because we need to show Ihara the photo that we've got, which is the photo of Miko Shiba. I now know this because it's written in my notes. Which is that photo there. And then we get to go back to the Yagami office to take a quick nap before we spend a little bit more time in Kamurocho. So I'm going to quickly jump over there. Oh, lovely. So something else that you can do on the skateboard is sometimes occurs when you're holding the button. Sometimes when you're on the skateboard, you will just clip a guy's feet and you'll fall off instantly, which is very annoying because you want to never do that. Right, so we need to quickly go back to the Gendalore office, and then we feel like we're being watched. So we're actually going to go and try and distract the guy. So while I'm doing the whole distraction tactics and all that stuff, Tony, if you've got anything you need to say, please feel free to go ahead. If I can actually get to the right bit, that'd be useful. All right, cool.
All right, Rebel, thank you. I was going to mention some of the upcoming bid wars as well as the donation incentives. Coming up in a couple of hours, we have Retro City Rampage. We have a bid war for the color palette. And at the moment, the color palette of My Eyes is currently winning with $30, followed closely behind with the GTA 3 color palette with $25. And the black and white color palette with $20. So if you'd like to change up the color palette for Retro City Rampage, feel free to get your donations in for that. In addition, we also have Paint the Town Red, which is subsequently coming up after Retro City Rampage, a couple hours after that, where we have a Spare the Traitor or Kill the Traitor donation incentive, with Spare the Traitor leading $45 to $40. So if you would also like to have an impact on where we go with that story, Spare the Traitor is currently winning, so feel free to do that as well. And as an update, we are still sitting at $683 out of 1,000 for the glitch exhibition of Prey 2017 at 80%. So if you'd like to see more glitches from Prey, feel free to put your money in for that.
All right. Cool. So what happened there was we got followed by some guys, and so we decided to beat them up. So the point of what we're doing here is we're actually looking for the leader of what are known as the RK members. So before I do anything else, I need to quickly go in here, pop myself an attack level 4, which gives me a nice boost to my strength. Go down Theatre Alley. Right, so we're looking for the RK members' hideout. So it's in Theatre Alley. I know exactly where it is. It's back here. And then we get another quick stealth section, then we get to another really funny boss fight, which is honestly one of my favourite fights in the entire game. There's so much character to it. So the RK members are basically what's left over of the Tojo Clan Yakuza, which actually in one of the other Yakuza games, which I think is Yakuza 7, got disbanded. So they're basically remnants of the lower grade thugs and some of the other higher ups. So let's get that. Right, so we're going to go and see their boss because he decided he wanted to talk to Kaito, and we're worried that Kaito is in danger. So we're going to go be a good friend and go see if Kaito's alright. But to do that, we need to crawl through the we need to crawl through the vents like Spider-Man real quick. And then we're going to end up in the male bathroom. So that's just where these end up. And something useful about that is we're actually going to steal the clothes of a bartender. So that's that guy there. We're going to follow him, technically, as he goes to the toilet. And then we're going to steal his clothes. Just like any good detective does. And what's funny is you actually get to keep it as like a full disguise that you can use in any mission where you have to use a disguise. So yeah, we can actually wear it a bit later on, which is also very funny. Alright, so he's trying to do that. We're going to nick that. Now we're the bartender. So we're going to go downstairs now. And we're going to go make a drink for someone. And this man must have the lowest alcohol tolerance out of anything. Or Yagami must have put like 100% alcohol in whatever cocktail he's about to make. Because this man takes one sip and is actually gone. So, while... So this is like the main distraction for this guy is pouring him a drink. Taking a drink while Yagami's making a drink, very useful. Right, so after this we have the rest of the stealth section of the RK hideout. And it's kind of annoying because the final guy can be kind of inconsistent with like the directions he decides to face. Sometimes he's facing you, sometimes he's not, sometimes he turns at the wrong time. Hopefully I don't get destroyed, because every time you fail this, you lose about 45 seconds. Which can get very annoying, because you start back here again. And you have to basically slowly walk through this entire thing. And the only reason why it's annoying is because Yagami actually just, like, slow walks during this, which is very annoying. If he actually, like, fast walked, then it would actually be fine. So this guy here, we're going to throw a bomb at him. And hopefully the final guy is... I need him to turn around. Okay, that's fine. You shouldn't turn around again. There we go. I had to play that a little bit safe because sometimes that guy, if he's facing the wrong direction, will just turn around and try and get you. So we've got to do another stealth takedown. As I said, Yagami's useless in combat in these, so this is the only way to take down enemies in the stealths. But it's funny, we do that in front of basically everyone, and then we're magically going to change from our bartender clothes back into our regular fighting clothes, because we can't do combat in the bartender clothes. I'll get them dirty. We can't do that. That's just offensive. Alright, so this fight here is just a group of RK members, but once you take out the first wave, just the cutscenes in between the waves are just actually great. I love them. They've got so much character for the main guy in the background there. That guy's called Akutsu. He'll be very relevant later. Okay, just making sure these guys... Okay, hit that guy. Cool. So you punch out all those guys, and then Akutsu's like, "Yo, you better get back up, boys, or otherwise I'll punish you." And he's like, "Right, boys, get back up." And then we take down this wave, and the same thing's gonna happen. So within each wave, basically, the enemies get more and they get bigger HP bars. Basically, Kaito, if you could do me a solid, that'd be very useful. Thank you, Kaito. So Kaito took out the guy at the back that I needed to take out, so that's very good. And again, Akusu goes, what the hell is happening? What the hell are you doing? So yeah, we're going to punch these guys again. Hopefully I get the right angle here, because as you saw in the previous song, if you get the right angle, they fly into each other and they do so much damage to each other like that. And I'm just going to try and do as much damage as I can. And kick and kick. That's a very good fight right there. That was an incredible fight. Right, so after this, we get to go back to the Genda Law Office and have a conversation with Sayuri that leaves us with going to a person called Yui Mamiya's house, who we know used to go to school with Mitsuru Kusamoto. That guy definitely decided to get in my way. So while I'm having the conversation with Sayuri here, Tony, if you got anything you want to say, feel free to go ahead.
Thank you so much, Rebel. I know I'm enjoying the run. And you know who also is enjoying the run? We have Evil Yoda with a $10 donation. It says, been watching reruns for a while. Glad I could finally catch a live stream and donate to the cause. Thanks all runners and staff for putting this together. And Yoda put the $10 towards the Virtual Boy color palette incentive for Retro City Rampage, which now we have still My Eyes leading at 30, but it's a little bit more of a closer race, so appreciate so much for the donation.
Alright, so for context there, we went to Yui Mamiya's house and we basically showed her footage of someone getting murdered in front of her and her child, which is like, oh god. So, but what's funny, right, so earlier on we showed the map to Sayuri, but the map and the blind spot, as I mentioned, is basically the basis of everything in this. So we mentioned earlier that the groping incident was fake. So we believe that Yui Mamiya and Ihara set it up with someone's help to basically make it so that he could technically be in two places at once. Because under the regular things of him doing the sexual battery, he couldn't have also been in the place of murder. But if they had a body double which he could switch with, then he could technically be in two places at once. So that's what we are trying to prove at this point, is that there was a body double that he did switch with. Right, so Chapter 6 here. Chapter 6 here is actually mostly movement, and mostly story context with some other small stuff. So we're going to go back to Yokohama real quick. Alright. We've got to go talk to Sawa Sensei again. And Sawa Sensei basically tells us that we need to wait until she's done with her meeting. And so during that time, we get to do a little short section of Sayuri. So in the first Judgment game, we actually did a section as Sayuri. And yeah, we did it in first person, but in this we actually get to just walk around as her. So, right, so now we're going to leave the school. And luckily, in this case, we get to just go down the same set of stairs that we came up because it's closest to the door. So there's no real complicated route you have to take to get to the door faster. Right, so let's get past all these cutscenes of him talking to Sayuri. And basically we get told that we have to just wait until it's over. So we're gonna go over to Sayuri, and she's gonna go to a place called Bartender, which is, yes, that is a very obvious pun. That's why they did it. And then basically we're gonna go and pose with I can't remember her name, but the other woman that is in the bar to try and catch the attention of the RK members so we can get more information about them. So we're gonna talk about what clothing we should wear and all this other stuff, and we basically get to customize Sayuri, but yeah, we're speedrunning, so we don't do that. We just skip straight through it. So this section here is actually kind of completely useless. It is just a long walking section, which gets us free SP at the end. So if you have any other messages that you need to say, Tony, feel free to go ahead now.
All right, Rebel, that's fantastic. So, in addition to the prizes we mentioned before, we have some minimum $10 donation, which is accumulative over the course of the marathon, for an art print of Bonfire, art print of Jin, an art print of Ashen Ones, for if you're interested in kind of a very nice art piece, those are $10 minimum donations. Also, at a $10 minimum donation is a 6-inch Kirby character plush. Now, regular Kirby, not the big-mouthed version, but still a Kirby nonetheless. As well as a Legend of Zelda keychain set, which includes a very nice selection of keys, as well as little heart containers and various accoutrements, all for a minimum donation of $10, like I said, accumulative across the marathon. And for $15 minimum donation, you guys can be in the running for an Undertale art book, as well as a video games world map, which you can again get in with your donations. And then finally, working our way up, of course, the folks that if you've wanted one, we have 2 PS5s available, one for the EU and one for the folks in North America, which is a $100 minimum donation, again, cumulative across the marathon. So if you want to potentially be in the running for prizes as well, we appreciate the donations, and you can, like I said, potentially get a prize at the end. If you'd like more information on that, feel free to go to prizes.esamarathon.com.
Alright, cool. So, during that, we need to get the address to Sawa Sensei's house, but the principal knows where it is. So now we're just going to go there, which is bang, 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 is that one there. And this is basically then the end of the chapter, us going to check on Sawa Sensei to make sure everything with her is all fine. Because we are worried about her safety due to now her being a potential target of the RK members or potential other people who might want to do her harm, silence her, and all matters of normal Yakuza nonsense. Alright, so this is the end of chapter 5. Chapter 6. And then we get shoved straight into chapter 7, which is what we like to call the Akutsu Gauntlet. Because we fight Akutsu, the guy that was sat in the sofa, in chapter 5 a good 3 times in the span of about a few minutes. So here's Akutsu 1. We're gonna do kick, spin, kick, and do that. So I'm just trying to basically deal with enemies as fast as I can. Go into that and try and deal with Akutsu before he does his that was a kind of okay fight. So basically, Akutsu does have a mortal attack, but like most other bosses from before, you can skip it if you just are stun locking him. I like to do that to him, basically, because his one actually has really difficult timing to get, and if you're in a really awkward position, especially on the lookout here, the balconies here, you actually really can't like do it. That was really good that guy went into the area effect of my thing there. Kick. Oh, Yagami, please. I should take out that guy. Kick that guy in the shin. There we go. So that wasn't the best fight, but that's fine. So during this, we actually just get to listen to a banger soundtrack. So give us a second here, just for me to check something. I need to check if I have enough for that. I don't have enough for what I need afterwards, so I'll buy that in a second. But the attack harp is very useful. So normally you want to buy that and you want to buy Hidden Tiger level 2. I'll buy Hidden Tiger level 2 in a second, but I do need it. That was an insane fight. Normally that takes like a full 3-hit combo, but you can do. But as you just saw there, I didn't too. you just get listen to this actual bop of a soundtrack in the background while we're running around kicking some guys. Right. Oh, I did not mean to do that. If you go off the stairs at a really weird angle, you do just kind of fly down them, so that's what happened there. Alright, more arcade members are coming. Hit. Oh, nice. Hit that guy, thank you. Hit that guy. Just kick him a few times, there we go, that's fine. Just because I whiffed, it's better just to kick him. Alright, so, get that. Now, when we go down the stairs, we get our second fight with Akutsu. As I said, this is the Akutsu Gauntlet. There he is. So we're going to go 2-hit into kick. And then we're going to go into this and pray to God that they will fly into each other. Like that. And take out as many of them as possible. And now I want this to happen again, but I want it to go in the opposite direction, which can be very annoying. But we will be doing that. Oh yeah, and Kuwana just kind of leaves. He's a very useful handyman, obviously. And punch, 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 kick, and hit those. Oh, okay, there was no one there. That should be the last guy. That was an okay fight. Right, so right after this, we actually get flung into another fight with Akutsu, but in this fight, we don't have access to our phone, which means we don't have access to gaining any abilities or anything like that, or healing or anything like that. So that's why I wanted to grab all my abilities before, because Akutsu knocks us out and takes us to a warehouse, and then our friends come and help us. So this man has a chainsaw. We're going to deal with Akutsu first, because we actually want him to do his QTE as early as possible. There we go. I actually took out multiple guys there, which is very useful. So you actually have to do this QTE correct. If you mess up QTEs in this, the game repeats them until you get them right, so. And what I want is this guy can roll either forward or backwards. I want him to roll towards me. Like that, then I can go. Cool, that's fine. That's fine. Wasting more time. Okay, cool. So, the end of this is just kind of clean up city normally. That whiff somehow. So, the end of this is just clean up city. We're just going to go around, clean up all these guys. That attack used to have a much better hitbox than the first Judgment, and it's very annoying that it doesn't have a good one in this game. And there we go, that got rid of that guy. So there are actually different sets of combos that you can do in this game, other than the one that I've been doing. But the main one I've been doing actually has quick hits, so that's why you do it. But that one there is a one that does a few really powerful hits, especially when you charge them. So you can basically just power through enemies, especially when you're in EX mode. Alright, so now we're going to go check on Sawa Sensei. Get on the skateboard for like 2 seconds, because hell yes, we're going to get on the skateboard for 2 seconds. And that is the end of the Akutsu Gauntlet, Part 1. Right, so now we're going into Chapter 8. So Chapter 8 is all about discovering about what happened with Kuwana. But, sadly, during the time that we were dealing with Akutsu, Sawa got murdered. And basically as a way to try and silence her. So, as any good detectives, we're going to desecrate the crime scene by taking a piece of evidence with us. And then we're going to run away with it because it's very useful to us. Alright, so now we're going to leave the rest of that to the police to deal with that crime scene. So, there's actually a character that I haven't mentioned who is the supposed leader, the supposed actual leader of the arcade members, a guy called Kazuki Soma. By the way, sometimes, her hip... She's in the cutscene, but she's not actually there physically, so if you run really fast after the cutscene, she just kind of pops out of existence. That's Amasawa. Right, so what we're saying, yeah, so Kazuki Soma. he likes to use an ice pick, which is why she was stabbed basically directly in the back of the neck and why the blood had spurted like the way it had, which is very clean. So that's what he likes to do. He's very much based on like a ton of horror themes. He's actually a pretty cool like themed villain, and he's like basically a function of like our Snake style. So when you fight him later on, he actually has counters and throws and stuff, and he basically counters you for trying to hit him, which is what you do in Snake. You counter people. So he's very cool. So, but before we need to go, I need to quickly pop into Class 2-2, just check up on them. Now we're going to go back here. So it actually saves a tiny bit of time to just run back here and use the lift real quick. Otherwise, you got to go out some doors and it's very slow. You basically run the same distance, but you don't have to open doors, which saves a little bit of time. Alright, so we're going to leave. Right, so now obviously I need to go back to Yokohama 99 because that's where I always have to go. Skip that. Yokohama 99. Right, so we're actually going to do some investigation into Kuwana because we don't think because by this point in the story, he's basically a mystery to us, and we don't think he is who he says he is, basically. So we're going to do some background checks on him to make sure he is who he says he is, and surprise, surprise, he isn't who he says he is, so that reveals a bunch of this. So we're going to go Commercial District, and that one there. So we're going to go over here. So this is his house.
Guess it's kind of fitting for an unlicensed handyman.
And we got another short investigation section to go. So something that is kind of clever about this is it kind of plays on like Yagami just noticing habits of people and such. So basically he has a ashtray here. And normally ashtrays aren't the most clean things in the world, even if like you do clean them. And he also has a box of cigarettes there, but Yagami knows that Kuwana vapes, so why does he have a box of cigarettes? Wow, the lighter in that box of cigarettes is actually a USB stick. So we're going to take the USB stick, and actually has a video on it that we need to do some reviewing of. Oh yeah, these guys know what we're up to and what we're looking into, and they want information from us. So, oh my word, I forgot that guy can do the grab sometimes. I'll quickly go into that. So hopefully Kaito can deal with those guys a little bit faster. We're going to just quickly go. Kaito, you could have done some more damage, please. Kick him, thank you. Right, cool. So, right after that, we actually get a... we basically also find another message saying that we need to go to a particular restaurant, which is supposedly run by Kuwana's uncle, I believe. It's either his uncle or his dad, but we need to go to Trentown South and go into the restaurant that's by here. And as I mentioned earlier about fighting Soma, we get a nice boss fight with Soma with probably one of the best themes in the game. Sadly, we don't get to hear too much of it at this point in the run, because we do kind of like do so much damage to him that we kind of body him at this point in the game. Alright, so here he is. Here's Soma. Alright, as I said, he likes to use an ice pick, and he has basically a snake style of fighting where he will counter you. Cool, so 1, 2. There you go, there's the counter. Then he'll try and stab you, but as long as you're charging attacks, you're all good. We're going to go into that, now we're going to start comboing him. Because I now have my attack buff. So when he gets about here is when he'll start charging up his staff. And that should finish off the fight nearly. And he's very close there. Just hit him, please, thank you. Right, cool. So that finishes off the fight. If I could have hit him a bit faster after the mortal counter, that would have ended a bit early. So we get this nice cutscene to end the fight. This is one of those things where, like, you know, we like kind of win because he doesn't get knocked out. He just kind of stands there and we walk towards him, and then he kind of gets away afterwards. So sometimes I'm like, that fight was kind of pointless. So Ambulances. And that's the end of that chapter. So we're going on to chapter 9 now. So, start of chapter 9, we need to go and talk to who we believe is Kuwana's uncle / dad. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it is. But he's at Bar Survive, which if you played Yakuza Like a Dragon, this is a very important place, and it's got a very important reference. Shout outs to the bartender in this place. And his name is Kitakata. And we gotta go back to Yokohama 99. Right, so before we have to take the USB drive back to Tsukumo, there is another boss fight with Tesso that just kind of appears out of nowhere. I normally forget this exists because it does kind of just genuinely come out of nowhere. I want to do the most amount of damage to Tesso, and then after this, I'm going to go into EX. And try and beat as many guys as I can. So right after this, he charges up his EX mode. While he's doing that, we're going to go and try and find him now, because all the guys are... That was very good. I caught a guy in there, actually. Right, so there's more thugs that spawn. So if I get lucky here, they'll all come towards me. I got kind of weirdly unlucky there. Okay, there's that guy. Cool, got lucky there. Right, that was a pretty good fight. As you can see, I went into red health, and yeah, I do get the boost from that red health, but sadly I think it disappears. I'm not going to heal it off because I don't need to, but it's fine. Right, so we're actually going to look at the video that's on that USB drive now. Is a video of a child getting bullied by some... I say a child, he's a teenager getting bullied by some other teenagers. This is the scene that happened right before Mitsuru decided to try and commit suicide, which ended up putting him in that coma.
Suspicious.
So we're just going to quickly look around this video.
Hey.
And this basically incriminates a number of people, actually. So there's Yui Mamiya.
There were
What the?
If you remember this guy, this is the guy I chased earlier when he was spying on us.
13.
So, we know that Kuwana isn't who he says he is, and we know these guys aren't who they say they are. So,
Hold you hold
Yeah,
that.
there-
and also, that doesn't look like Kitakata, even though we know that he was the teacher. So, we find out that Kuwana is actually posing as someone to get revenge on bullies, and he's actually using this video as a way of blackmailing those kids who bullied Mitsuru to help him in getting revenge on other bullies. So that's the context of how Yui Mamiya basically got involved with the whole fake sexual battery stuff. And we're about to go confront her about that. So the first time we go to her house, we show her a video of someone getting murdered. And then the second time, we're going to show her the video that gets used to blackmail her. So we're definitely not in her best book. So you talk to Segura real quick, and then we're going to go see Yui. Alright, so I'm going to do that. Weapon was orchestrated. Bully video. And then we're going to get attacked by some guys in white masks. And if you recognize the suit of one of them, you might recognize it as Akibe, which we chased earlier and also mentioned was in that video. That was a really weird fight. They didn't do anything. Normally they like swung 3 hits at you by that point if you give them enough space to. So we're going to go back to Kamurocho with Yui Mamiya here to interrogate her a little bit more. So we're going to go to Hisagi's place. And Hisagi was actually in an earlier cutscene, but I skipped it. So his introduction kind of gets skipped in this. So we're going to go to Pink Street because Kuwana's actually in our office. So we're going to go say hi to Kuwana. And he's going to try and justify to us that murdering people is fine as long as it's for revenge, which, you know, if you've got any kind of sane brain cell, that's just not correct at all. So we've got a few cutscenes to skip here, then we have a chase section. I mentioned a chase section earlier that was kind of annoying, and if you didn't do it right or you get caught on anything, you basically automatically lose time. Yeah, this is that chase. So this is the Kuwana chase. So the Kuwana chase is definitely one of the more annoying ones because there's a lot more things to avoid in Kamurocho than there are in Yokohama, especially being people and cars and vending machines and God only knows what else. So there's actually a vending machine coming up that in one of my practice runs I got caught on, and if you get caught on this vending machine for too long, which can happen if you're just moving a little bit too far to the right here, you actually just completely fail this and you need to wait for him to go through an entire cycle again, which is very annoying. But cool, we got there right that time, so we're going to kick this crate at him. This guy's got quite a lot of force in an empty crate to fly that far. And also deal damage, so we're going to run around the cones. Run over this guy. Right, so there's one more thing I got to kick at him. It's a bucket in a second, and if I get lucky, the bucket can sometimes hit him in the funniest of places. So depending on how far ahead of you he gets, because sometimes he's a bit far ahead, sometimes he's not as far ahead. This bucket will hit in different places, so you need to hit this bucket here. Dude, that hit him square in the butt there. But also something you have to worry about is be prepared to dodge the bucket as a physical item afterwards, because you can trip over it and look like a dummy for kicking an item and then tripping over it like right afterwards. If you do everything right, he runs down this alleyway straight away, then you can just catch up to him. And this ends the Kuwana chase. So, if my memory serves me right, that's the last chase in the game, and then right after this, he runs into the car park and tries to set his students on us again. So,
Get back here.
we got a quick fight with them again before we end off the chapter.
Come on.
Right, there we go. There's the suit for Akibe. Sorry, Akike. I keep saying Akibe. Cool, that's what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. They went too far away from it. That doesn't matter, though. Cool. That was kind of okay, considering I kind of messed that up quite badly. So, that's the end of that chapter. Right, so Chapter 10. So something I did earlier, which you might not have noticed, is when the game said kill time, I just taxied to a random spot. So, in this game, the waiting sections aren't actually waiting sections like they are in some of the other Yakuza games. They're actually distance based. If you go far enough away from the point where you start, it just ends the wait. Oh, and if you skip that cutscene there like that, it actually spawns you back up to here, so you'd have to taxi twice. You have to taxi back up here. I'm going to go up here and around here into Charles. There we go. Right, now we're going to talk to Yumamiya. We need to show her a few things. Murder video. She's going to get the hump with us. We're going to show her that, which is the fabric testing on the hands, and that is her train ticket. But before we do anything else, I need to go take a sleep. We're going to hit the couch in the Yagami. Oh, I'm not even going to try again. There's too many people. That's one of the issues with Kamurocho with the skateboard, is trying to get around everywhere. It can be very annoying. We go. Right, so. Oh, God. You don't need to skip that cutscene like that. So we're going to go to the detention center because we need to talk to Ihara real quick. So we need to show him the murder footage real quick. And ask him about if he found out about his son's bullying from Sawa Sensei because his son got bullied by by some
Sure
different
thing.
people at some different people that by the different person in the murder. Oh god, that's not what I wanted to do. It's up. It's up. It's up.
We heard him.
Yeah, and if you skip that, you heard him cutscene. It just repeats it over and over again, which is very funny. But yeah, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the person that he murdered was a person that bullied his son way back in the day and caused his son to commit suicide. So lots of sad stuff happening. So back to Yokohama 99. Do I remember the context? I'll remember in a second when I get there. Because there's so many times you go back to Yokohama 99 that they all kind of blend together for me. There's normally for bits of information that you go back here. Or like bits of context for the story.
Well,
Alright, what am I doing now? Oh yeah, I need to... Okay, yeah. I need to submit in now. That one. Is that one there? So you skip that cutscene. So that's just them saying that we need to wait for some information. If you skip that cutscene there, you actually get teleported back to Yokohama 99 or close by to it, which is here. So we can just run back here without having to taxi again. Alright, so, and then I need to go talk to Watanabe again, if I remember rightly. Yes, it's Watanabe again. So we're going to wait till the evening, then we're going to go talk to Detective Watanabe again. Because we need to basically get some information from him, and he won't give it to us over the phone, so we're going to go see him IRL. Alright, so... not surprisingly, we're actually going to have a quick boss fight with Watanabe, so before I get to the boss fight, and while I'm doing the menu in the boss fight, Tony, if you've got anything you want to quickly say while I'm getting into that, you can go ahead now.
Much appreciated, Rebel. Wanted to share a little bit more information on the charity that we're raising money for, which is Alzheimer's Fondant. Alzheimer's Fondant organizes projects, camps, and events for youngsters affected in different ways due to parents or other relatives diagnosed with Alzheimer's. People can get Alzheimer's, be affected by Alzheimer's as early as in their 30s. And the care cost of Alzheimer's are higher than heart disease and cancer care combined. So with all that, in addition to the donations, all of the Twitch subscriptions, the cheers, and the ESA merch will go towards Alzheimer's Fondant. So feel free to get your donations, your Twitch subs, your cheers, and pick up any ESA merch to help us support this wonderful charity.
Thank you for that. Right, I somehow managed to get an insanely good fight there, so I finished with the fight before that was over. Right, so that fight there, he actually is one of the only instances in the Yakuza game where there's an insta-kill QTE. If he throws you, when he throws you over the water, if you get that QTE wrong, you just insta-die. It's incredibly hilarious. I would have shown it off, but you have to redo the menu if you die, so I was like, I don't really want to do that.
All right, let's go.
Right, so another stealth section now.
Yeah.
So this is the infiltrate the Humi Jewel, which we need to get into because we need to go see if Kuwana's there. So I'm going to wait for Yagami to stand up. Now we can go. As I said, you have to, like, in these you can't just press sprint because it's not toggled like it is in regular movement. You have to hold it. So I'm holding sprint. Gonna throw a coin there to distract that guy. Run. Definitely being stealthy here right now. Throw that, run around here. He runs down there. Throw the coin there. I nearly got a sword point and I nearly got seen hardcore by that guy. And that ends the stealth. Definitely stealthy right there. Definitely stealthy. Alright, so you can skip this cutscene, but you can't skip the one after it. You have to mash through this one. So, if you know any context about Segura in the first Judgment game, he's actually like a really good parkour expert, and he's really good at sneaking into places. So, we had to do all that to get in here, but we're going to walk through this door, and go around here, and he's just going to, like, you know, walk up behind us and be like, yo, I was here the whole time, buddy boy. Right, so I mentioned at the beginning of the run, back in Chapter 1, that walking upstairs is faster than walking. Well, in this you have to crouch walk, which is even slower. So going in first person and going up here saves a good few seconds. Alright, so now we have to climb up this building a little bit. Then we have another parkour section we have to do. And this is the first one where you can actually kind of like definitely fall off and lose a bunch of time if you do fall off. So the first one, if you fall off, you don't really lose any HP or anything. In this one, if you fall off, you lose HP. Which is very annoying, and it can get very dangerous very fast. Alright, so. Jump, jump, jump. Alright, if you actually sprint here, you will just fly off the edge. You have too much speed when you do that. Around here, you take it this little bit slow just to make sure I don't get bodied. Right, so there's actually a jump you have to do here, and the jump here is not very good or in your favor. And do that, then you want to sprint and just go over. Oh, Yagami, no. And that's what happens when you fall off. You get sent right back to the beginning and you lose some HP. Because the checkpoint system in these is not very good. Right, so let me just quickly go through this again and try not to get bodied by that again. One, two, three. Over there. Cool. Got over that time. What a silly loss of like 30 seconds. And that goes up there. Right, cool. So now we're gonna meet up with Sugiura up here. Then we get ambushed by some arcade members, because of course we do. It's a Yakuza game. Gonna quickly just deal with them. Just by doing the same strats we've all been doing. Just make sure. And that guy's trying to... Oh my word. I got actually stunned. That can happen sometimes. There's different status elements in this game. Oh, I'm confused. No wonder I got confused. That's why I was spamming random directions. Because you really don't have control over yourself when that happens. Alright, cool. So now we're going to go around here. So in the next room, there's actually some guys with guns. And guns in Yakuza games are pretty scary. So normally in Yakuza games, there's a tier list of enemies you want to take out. Luckily in this, Sugiura is pretty good at taking out the guys with guns, but you want to make sure that you take out at least one of them and try not to get bodied by the other one. So that's the guy with the gun right there. Just take out that guy. Oh my word. 1, 2, and then... Cool, I just got the rush cancel, that guy. Now we've only got the boss left, which is easy. Now I can just go nuts. And there we go. That was a pretty decent fight, considering I got the bad opening where all the enemies walked towards me. Right, so now we need to go quickly check on... well, we find out that Kuwana wasn't where we thought he was. He's actually in a different part of this part of the district, so we're going to go around here. We're going to go down to Ijin Street. And we're going to go around here. Well, there's a fight spawn there. Are they going to turn around? Yes, they are. If they walk towards you, then you have to despawn them. But if not, you're fine if you get there. If you can get there before they can see you, then you're perfectly fine, because that just despawns them talking to that guy. Alright, so now we have a nice conversation with Kuwana, where we're going to talk about, where we're going to say that Vice Minister Reiko is siding with a different organization here. Because a third... Oh. Let me fight Kuwana first real quick. Alright, so this guy has counters, much like Soma does. Okay, let's just go. Okay, before he kills me.
Come get some.
I mistimed my counter. That's annoying. Just because I don't want to die. And this guy can just easily kill you if you're not paying attention. Should be in that guy. Right, sorry. What was that with Reiko? So Reiko is actually getting pressured by a government body known as Public Security, who, at this point in the story, is a Yakuza game. You know the government can't be trusted, because of course they can't. So we believe, or Yagami believes, that they basically made the arcade members to keep track of the basically remaining Yakuza around in the areas, just to make sure that they're not causing trouble for anyone. So by basically making them one body where they could just implant a leader, who in this case is believed to be Soma, as a mole to basically keep track of everything, then they could easily keep control over all the crime. And also because they are, but also because Soma's a mole, they can also use him to basically do things for their own need. So we're going to run through Cafe Brav here. And go up here. So what we're doing here is we're actually trying to prove whether Kuwana's phone has been hacked into. So we're actually gonna try and phone Reiko, or no, we're trying to prove that Reiko's phone has been hacked into. So we get Kuwana's phone to phone them, and then oh look, arcade members show up to answer the phone call. So we're going to fight these guys. Alright, cool. Oh, that would be incredibly useful if you could hit that Yagami. And one, and we're going to hit that guy while he's down. There we go, easy peasy. Right, so, now that we know that Reiko's phone has been tapped, we basically know that the public security guys basically cannot be trusted, and they'll keep continuing to put pressure on her until they get their way. By the way, that was the end of the chapter. So we're going on to chapter 11 now. So we start chapter 11 by going and have a conversation with Reiko at the hospital, posing as a taxi driver. Just so we can get what we want without looking suspicious. Alright, so now we've got to go through these three where she's talking about different things. The order doesn't matter. I like asking about her son last, because normally that's where most interrogations would start. They try and be nice, but I'm like, nah, let's just go the opposite way, because that's just amusing that you can go in any direction. Alright, so we're going to go quickly drop down into the base of Tesso and his boys right now to talk to Kuwana, but Kuwana's not here. If you jump at the right angle there, you actually start the cutscene a little bit earlier. Otherwise, you have to hit the ground and then go into the cutscene. But if you do that and you land on top of the little structure, it actually you just end up in the hitbox a little bit earlier because you slide off of it. We're gonna go hit the sofa to get some rest again, because that's what we need. Skip that cutscene. Alright, so right after this, we're actually going to go to the prosecutor's office. So, a lot of this has been leading up to us wanting to get Ihara retried for what he actually did, which was murder, and not what he faked he did, which was the sexual battery. So, we're going to go to the courthouse, and we're going to say that the guilty verdict was wrong, and then we're going to show them the only piece of evidence which matters, which is the map. As I said, the map is very important. It shows a blind spot in the cameras. But it's also a hot meme that nearly every single evidence is just show them the map and they'll go, damn, you're right, man. Alright, so we're going to go quickly talk to Sayuri again, because we need to, Sayuri needs to help us planning with our next move. So we're going to go around here. So we have another Sayuri section coming up now, which is another long just walking section for a minute, and all it does is serve us to give me some skill points. Gives me a lot of skill points, actually, which is very silly for not doing anything. So after I'm done with this conversation, I'm just going to talk to Hoshino. Skip that one. Do that. Sayuri. Right, so while I'm going through this slow section of walking with Sayuri, Tony, if you've got anything you want to talk about, please feel free to go ahead.
And I appreciate that, Rebel. Wanted to share some information about some upcoming bid wars and donations incentives that we have coming up. Currently, for Retro City Rampage, we have a bid war for the color palette, which at the moment we have My Eyes is leading with $30, followed by GTA 3 with $25, Black and White with $20, and finally Virtual Boy color palette with $10. So if you'd like to have a say in what kind of color palette we're going to have for Retro City Rampage, which again is coming up in a couple of hours, feel free to put your donations towards that. Another bid war we have coming up is for Paint the Town Red, which is a couple hours after Retro City Rampage, and it's for Spare the Traitor or Kill the Traitor. Spare the Traitor is currently leading $45 to $40, so we have a slight edge on Sparing the Traitor. So again, if you also want to say what we do in the story, feel free to throw that. In addition, we have a donation incentive for a glitched exhibition for Prey, any percent, which currently stands at $683 out of $1,000. So we're about $317 away from the donation incentive being met. So feel free to get your donations in for that. And another donation incentive that I'm very excited for, which is Tormented Souls, any percent. An alternate outfit for Caroline currently sits at $262 out of $600. So we would need a little bit of $340 roughly to get there. So feel free, like we said, to put your donations to any one of these bid wars or donations incentives. And Rebel, back to you.
Thank you very much. So this is Akutsu again. This is technically the end of the Akutsu Gauntlet that we started back in Chapter 7. So the entire point of the Sayuri bit is to basically work out that the arcade guys are in the one place that we already knew that they were. So it's just a complete waste of time for everyone involved. So I won't talk much about it because it assassinates two characters that I really enjoyed from the previous games. So by that. So what Secret Tiger Isles does is actually applies Tiger's attack buff to other styles when we have it. So if I decided I wanted to switch to Crane now for whatever reason, because it would be more beneficial to the situation to do so, then I could do that. Right, so now that guy's there. We're going to take out this guy. So this fight's mostly just like dealing with these guys in the order that makes sense. So because now Akutsu is alone, we're gonna... Oh, I actually got it. And that should take him out. And there's the one guy here. If I could actually hit him, that would be useful. There we go. That's fine. Right. Damn, and the ragdoll physics are going. Right, so I actually got a pretty decent fight there. So normally that fight goes pretty wrong because the enemies can just spread out everywhere and it gets very annoying very fast. So that was the end of Chapter 11. So Chapter 12. So Chapter 12 starts with us going and meeting Kaito at Charles, which is where we interviewing Yui Mamiya before. After we have walked Sayuri back to the office. I always forget this bit exists, and when you're in this bit, you need to be looking out for fight spawns. There's a fight spawn there, so I'm going to need to despawn that. As I said, you can use pretty much anything to despawn it, so what we're going to do is we're going to use
There you are.
we're going to use the detective dog.
He's a good boy. Good boy.
And then you can end the investigation, and then, dude, the fight just despawns. Easy peasy. Alright, so we're going to go to Pink Street because we need to go rest in the Yagami Detective Agency office. And then we get to get on with all the stuff that I mentioned before about going to Charles to meet Kaito. That guy, why do they always do that? Oh, thanks, game. Sometimes if you try and go in a door when you're on the skateboard, that happens. You just kind of get caught. You can actually slide along the wall, then you get flung back to the door to open it. So we're going to go to Charles, which is Park Boulevard, to meet Kaito, who's beating some kid on an arcade machine. But before we get in there, Tsukumo wants to have a quick chat with us. Right, so we have to go to a different bar in a second. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. There's so many, but it's East Taipei Boulevard we need to go to. So we need to go off into the Champion District, which in most other Yakuza games you actually come here a number of times, and the bar we need to go to is down here. It's this one, the Wild Whiskey. And there's a guy in here we need to talk to, and he gives us some information about where we might be able to find some more of the arcade members. And we learned it's in the Tatami Room. So if you remember the Tatami Room from the start of the game, where we stopped Kosuke from doing his gambling. Yeah, he's actually still in there doing gambling, so he didn't learn his lesson. But he's not the reason why we're here. We're here to find the arcade members, specifically Soma, who we've heard is in this building. So that's why we're here. Alright, so just do a quick fight with these guys. Alright, so I didn't mention before, but a lot of fights where you have your party members, they're actually kind of useful sometimes, kind of not. Like, here they really messed me up. In this fight specifically a lot of times. But that was okay. So something else you want to do here actually, there's actually text you can mash through, but if you just hold X, you skip through most of it, and you can just go through the door here. Oh, so there is a quick investigation you've got to do here. We've got to turn on the light. Then we're going to go over here, and we're going to do that. And there's a door code there. So you're actually meant to go find the door code, but the door code is the same every time, so what you can do is you can just go... And your party member just go, for real, you guessed that? And you can just get on with it. So there's another long parkour section we've got to do here.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to buy grip gauge. Okay, that's fine. No, I don't need to worry about it. I can just do the old strat. So if you buy grip gauge, you can actually do this without stopping, but I'll have to just do a quick stop because it's a little bit slower to go to the menu now and fix it. Why did I go back that way? Alright, so we're going to go over here. We actually have to go into this building here, and into this window here, because we're looking for a way into the building, so... We have to go investigate every opportunity, so we're going to go. If you actually go over there, Yagami, thank you. Alright, back out the building. Skip through this text. Alright, jump over here. And you can actually skip dropping down on the bars here by just going here and then just dropping down. It saves like a second to do that. Hop around here. We're actually going to get tutorialized on a couple of things actually. We're going to get tutorialized on sliding down pipes. Okay, cool. He nearly glitched out on me there. So we're going to get tutorialized on sliding down pipes, because who doesn't love a good tutorial like in chapter 12 of 13 of your video game? Alright, gonna quickly go up here. This is actually like the longest parkour section. There's a couple more you have to do, but this one just is so long. Because there's so much you gotta do. Right, I will have to take a quick break to get my grip gauge back, because if you run out of grip gauge when you're in the middle of climbing, you do just fall off and go back to your latest checkpoint. As you can see, I'm about to run out, so we're going to quickly hop down here, just wait for it to recharge a little bit. Then we're going to go. So if I'd grabbed the grip gauge, I actually would have been able to just climb up here straight away, and you normally end with about like 2 or 3 seconds left of your grip gauge before you run out. We're going to come up here, there's 2 guys we've got to fight. We're going to deal with these arcade members. These guys have big HP bars, so we're going to deal with that guy. There we go. That was a pretty good fight.
What a waste.
Alright, so now we got to look for a way to get our friends up to the building here, which is actually this rope here. Right, so this is a short unskippable cutscene that you can't do anything about because it's rendered in engine, and as I said earlier, if it's got the little main story icon up there, it's not actually a cutscene. Alright, so as soon as Kaito starts talking, we can skip the cutscene. There we go. And now we get another stealth section. So this is the last stealth stealth section we have to do. We're going to jump over there. There's a green box we can jump over here, which is right here. We have to be careful here because this guy could be facing the wrong way. He is. Now we're going to coin him. Oh, and what's funny is some of these guys actually, even though I'm playing in the English dub, just don't change from the Japanese dub. They just stay in Japanese. It happens in the first Judgment as well. There's a couple of guys that appear in cutscenes that still talk in Japanese despite it being meant to be an English dub. Like, in character, they still think they're speaking Japanese, which is very funny. Right, so this one here, you actually have to wait for the guy in the little mini map. There's a little red triangle over to the left. You have to wait for him to turn around and come at you. So I've saved 2 smoke bombs specifically for this because it speeds it up by quite a lot. So by aiming here, just mashing RT, you throw that at the earliest possible point, then you can come out here and take him down. And as I said, this is the last stealth section, this one here, so I can actually use both of my smoke grenades without really caring.
Take a nap, bud.
We're going to go over here, throw that there. We're going to throw the ball at him. We're going to take him down. And that's the end of all the stealth sections. We don't got to do any more. No more of them. No more of them. Which is very useful because, goddamn, some of them are very annoying. Right, so as I said, this is all to get back into the tatami room. So last time we went in through climbing through the windows. This time we just went in through the rooftops. So when we go in here, of course Kosuke's in here doing more gambling, but there's a bunch of arcade members. Sadly, Soma isn't here, so the rumor we heard was a lie. Oh yeah, you could just blow up an entire group of enemies behind you by doing that. That's the end of that fight. Very, very good fight there. Skip that cutscene as soon as you hear the beeping. Alright, so right there, if I remember correctly, or at some point within the next chapter in a bit, Reiko Kusumoto's son, Mitsuru, actually wakes up, so it actually triggers her to, give in to the pressure of the public security guys, and basically try and sell out Kuwana. So the final couple of bits of this is us trying to not only get Ihara prosecuted for what he actually did, but also making sure Kuwana doesn't die because he's actually in a very important piece of the puzzle that we need to be alive, because he has some evidence hidden that we actually need. Alright, so now we need to quickly go back to Yokohama 99, which we go there. In this one, this is one of the only times this happens, but instead of you getting taxied to the train station, this taxis you straight to Yokohama 99, which is incredibly useful, and I don't know why none of the other ones do it. But this one just takes you straight there. It just doesn't care. It just goes, hell yeah, have fun. Alright, cool. So now this one here, this is a wait, but you actually want a taxi to right here. As I said, the waits in this are distance-based. If you go far enough away, it just cancels out the wait. But this one here, you want to go here because this is actually where you need to go after the wait. So by taxiing straight here, you don't need to taxi again. Because we need to go and say hi to Tesso, our boy Tesso. So we need to ask Tesso about some stuff. And we need to ask Tesso about getting around the city without really being seen. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on a disguise and go into the sewers. And then as soon as we get out of the sewers, we're going to take a taxi, because why would I do anything else? Oh, I wanted to do the bartender, but I guess I pressed the wrong button. So we're going to be worker for a minute again. Something funny, you can use any of the costumes that you've unlocked here. So if you have the vampire one, yes, you can turn into a vampire to be inconspicuous. Because of course that's how it works. No one will ever know that you're that you are Yagami when you're dressed as a vampire. Alright, so we got told we need to go to Asawa Sensei's house to meet up with our driver that will take us to where Kuana is. And who would show up? But it's Akike who shows up. There he is. He takes us to a boat because Kuana likes to be on a boat because he knows where all of his exits are. And by that, it means he can jump off ship if anything goes wrong. So here's more arcade members, and he blames us for this in a minute and tries to blow up the ship. It's a whole big thing, but it's not really important too much to the story, other than the fact that he kind of gets away. Right, so now we're going to take out this guy. Right, so this guy when he's in his second phase, he pulls out a gun. And as I've established, gun enemies are actually scary, so we're going to take him out as fast as possible. That was a really good fight. That was an insanely good fight. Everyone just kind of got in the way at the right times there. And that's the end of chapter 12. So we're going into the finale now. So this is the final chapter of the game. This is kind of where everything kind of comes together. It's the longest chapter in the game at 25-ish minutes, 24, 25 minutes. There we go. That's Reiko getting pressured by public security guys. And she gives in, because of course she does. Because her son woke up, so she no longer needs to hide what she did, which is allow the murder of some people. And she can actually get Kuana done in for it. I'm just buying some additional abilities that can come in useful. They're not always useful, but they can be useful. Rising Vortex is basically required sometimes, so just buying some abilities that can come in use. So the crane one, instead of a attack boost, actually gives you a speed boost, which can be useful. And if you apply that 3rd level speed boost to Tiger, yeah, you go pretty fast in Tiger. So that's why we did it. I need to go to Kamurocho. So I need to go to the Gendalore office. Because basically we need to go and tell Ihara that he's going to get retried. Because we want to get him prosecuted for the murder rather than the sexual battery. Because obviously if he gets charged with the sexual battery, he basically gets away with the murder with how the crime system works in Japan.
I'm going to try. Oh.
Because he would have served his time for that crime and then he could have come out and said he did that, but it'd be too late to do anything to it with how that crime system works. But that's what this game implies. I don't want to be the person that tries to state about stuff I don't even know about. But that's what this game tries to imply. So we're going to go talk to him. And we find out he still has the murder weapon. And you find out in a second that some of your friends went and prayed at the basically the Japanese shrine in people's homes of their fallen family members. They went and said some goodwill prayers and stuff for his son that committed suicide after being bullied too much. And it turns out he hid the murder weapon with the shrine, so they went and prayed to it with basically the murder weapon right in front of them the entire time, just hidden in the cupboard. Oh god, I don't know why they do that sometimes. They just jump backwards. Right, we need to go over here because this is where all the boys are hanging out. We need to go say hi to them. There's all the boys. We need to talk to them a little bit just to get some information. This doesn't really do much. It's just him getting some background info about what's been happening or what they've been doing. We get to stay the night, and then that's so I've already done the Kamurocho point of no return, so we can no longer go to Kamurocho. So the taxi option for Kamurocho is actually gone from our taxi list. So taxi list gets a bit shorter, so we're going to go there. And now we actually get to our Yokohama point of no return already. So we're going to go talk to Sugiura here, and this is the point of no return. There we go. So we're now done with a point of no returns. We are now locked in the into the finale. So we find out that a couple of the schoolgirls that I say a couple, one of the schoolgirls that we dealt with way back at the beginning of the run, who was Bullion Kodo, if you remember her, has been talking to some of the arcade members, which is not good at all. So we're gonna go and see what's happening with them and basically go save them from the situation they've managed to find themselves in. So we get a cool little fight cutscene here of the boys doing some fighting. Each of them kind of showing off their different way of fighting. Like Sugiura is much more athletic. Kaito's like a wrestler throwing people around. Sagi's much more kind of civilized, and then you got Yagami at the back doing kung fu. Right, so this fight coming up, even Tsukumo kind of helps you a little bit because he has a drone outside, and the drone starts throwing in smoke pellets and stuff to basically stun the enemies. And by stunning the enemies, if the smoke pellets come out, we know the fight is kind of not gone the way we want it to, because you can end it before he even starts throwing smoke pellets. So hopefully this goes well, because what you need to do is you need to knock the enemies into each other using Tiger, and then hopefully if you get him in the right position, you can do the crane counter to that. This went. Now, this is going insanely right now. Alright, cool. There's only one guy left after this, and this should get rid of that guy. Oh, okay, he's gonna...
We are ready to go.
Oh, okay, my EX Immortal just destroyed me there, because I was not expecting to get hit by that. Cool, that was a really good fight. As you can see, when everything goes well in Tiger, all the enemies fly into each other, and they all do damage. And they basically damage each other by flying into each other. So that's locked us into basically the finale stuff now. So now we get to do our normal judgment court case part. So Yagami goes back to being a lawyer for literally like a few seconds here. We're going to show the map because, as I said, the map proves everything. We doubt the victim. We doubt the victim's credibility, because as we've said throughout this, we doubt her credibility. Then we ask him. Then we ask Ihara if he knows who Jinkwana is, and then we show him this audio recording, and then he admits he murdered someone and actually didn't commit the sexual battery that he originally said he did. So now that's all completed. He's been tried for. He's been sentenced for the murder rather than the sexual battery, and then Reiko there's on the phone to Kawana, who is basically trying to negotiate his freedom by saying he still has the body of one of the people that the person that he killed for her. So we gotta go try and find that to stop him from getting bodied by the arcade members. Oh, thanks for whiffing, Yagami. Cool, so, again, I'm just trying to make sure I get enough heat here to do the stuff afterwards. So this is the most optimal combo to get heat quickly. Cool. Right, so I don't want to use heat until the final fight, the final wave, if I can help it. I also want to try and save it altogether, so it sometimes is useful to just not use it. Cool, and do that with that guy. That's nice. There should be... That should be last guy. Oh, no, it's going to ask me to take out more guys over here. Cool. Easy peasy. Right, so this is the last wave. There's a guy with 2 HP bars here, but he goes down pretty quickly because we are pretty strong with all our equipment on and all of our attack buffs, especially from Tiger. And we're going to do that again, and he should die from this combo. There we go. Oh, I ended up in the door. Alright, cool. Now, just the boys have not done very well. Sometimes the boys do really well here, but sometimes they do what Kaito did just there and just throw them for no reason. Sugiura actually did pretty well there, but he's not the best. Cool, that's into that fight. That's a pretty good fight. Considering that the boys didn't really do what they were supposed to. Right, so now we're actually locked into the final set piece now. So the final set piece now, we go from that straight into a fight with like 100 people. There's one enemy in this at one point that comes in, and he has a gun. And as I said, guns are the top of the tier list of, oh god, take them out now. So As I said, Crane gets used at one point for AoE. This is that point because Crane AoE is actually insane here. And you can cancel out of that at any point, so you can get to dealing with this guy pretty quickly, and then you can cancel back into that and start going nuts with this again. Oh, I accidentally hit my own boy there. Alright, cool. So, there's about 100 boys in this, if I remember correctly, that you have to take down, but normally you just kind of swing, and they spawn in the opposite directions of where you are, so as long as you're, like, you know, careful about where you're taking out the guys and you're paying attention to that. Oh, and that's part of the reason why you want to buy Rising Vortex, by the way, because you can get hit by your own party members, and it's very annoying. So, if you get hit by your own party members, you can actually, or that can happen to you as well, which is also very annoying. Cool, take out those guys. Where the hell is the guy with the sword? There he is. Oh, missed him. That's fine. Don't worry about it. So now I'm just trying to gain meter so I can do because that's the case, I'm actually going to use a stamina. Cool, so as I said, the Tiger attack buff gets carried over because I've got the 3rd level of Hidden Tiger. So there's a guy with a pipe somewhere. There he is. So after this guy, and you can take out a few more enemies, there is a guy with a gun that spawns, and as soon as he appears, I want to take him out because guns do lots of damage, even on easy, and I don't have any HP boost because I want to try and crit build at the end of this. So again, we're just going to start swinging. Where's the hell is that guy? There he is. And I'm just going to hyper-focus him to make sure he is taken care of. Take out those guys. These should be the last guys left, actually. And if I do this... and that should be the last guy. That was the last guy. That was a pretty good fight. That's pretty good. Right, so that's the first bit of the final set piece. So the second bit, we go inside the building. We have to deal with some more guys. But and I didn't mention this earlier, but some of these guys actually have flamethrowers and such. And burn is a pretty annoying status condition that can happen in this game. It basically just lowers your HP over time. There's not a lot you can do about it other than just take it. Like, there he is. There's the guy with the flamethrower. Just taking out those guys. I'm trying to gain as much meter as possible, and Crane's pretty good at that. Okay, Tiger, just to make sure these guys are taken out. Oh, there's a guy with a taser as well. Tasers are also annoying. Cool, there's the last 2 guys. There we go. That's pretty good. Alright. So we're going to go through this door, and then we're actually going to get into one of the only other, like, we have another investigation after a fight, and then we have another bit of parkour. And then we have the second lockpick. I did the first one like 2 hours ago, and now we get to do the second one. Okay, this has worked out way better than normal. And I want to just take out this guy real quick. That's actually fine. There we go. That worked out perfectly.
What a waste.
Alright, so if you actually get really good on your positioning, you want to end as close to this door as possible, which doesn't always work in your favor, obviously, because enemies go wherever they feel like, and your partners can hit them around. So we're going to look at the orange barrels here. We can fill air, which means there's a vent there. We're going to go there.
Gotcha.
Basically, we get told, yo, go parkouring. We'll be alright for a minute. Which is what we're going to do. We're going to go parkouring. Alright. Wall run. The second time I've had the wall run. Sometimes it gives you a tutorial for the wall run there again. I don't know why it does that. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Right, so we got this bit here where sometimes it will give you a QTE, or sometimes it won't for your full damage. So we unlock that gate, and now we're going to go over here. Now we get to pick a lock again, which is the second one we got to do. So, 1, 2, 3.
Nice.
There we go, there's lock picked. Alright, so we're going to run through here a little bit. Hisagi and Kaito kind of get caught up at the back there with some more guys. So me and Sugiura go on ahead. Sugiura goes free running like he's hella good at. So we're going to go up here and find a different way around. So I'm going to skip a little bit of the free running stuff by dropping down an area which you're normally not supposed to. There's a free Tarana there, which is actually useful. I need that in a minute. So drop down here. That skips like a little bit of parkour and running down some stairs and some other stuff. And then we're going to go around here. Get a bit of text. As soon as we do that, we can do that. Alright, so what I'm going to try with these guys is there's actually some enemies at the back there that try and spawn. So I'm going to try and apparently whiff. Alright, so I'm going to go back there. I'm going to run in here. This is not going as well as I would like because all the enemies got away from me, but that's fine. It's fine, I can build up some heat in this fight for a later fight, which is actually fine. One. There you go, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Wasn't the best fight, but that's perfectly fine. Right, so I've been trying to keep around the same level of HP because I actually want to drop down into red HP in this next fight because it makes it a little bit it makes it a little bit easier. But then also I want to be in the range where I can use a toughness light to not go too high into HP. For the end of the for the fights after that. Specifically, there's a couple of fights with Soma where I actually want to be in red HP. Because you do way more damage, obviously. As I've said, that we try and crit build right at the end to basically speed up the final bosses. Right. Going up here. Alright. So, down here in this pit, actually, you see some guys walking around. We dubbed this the party pit, because if you accidentally fall down here, you have to deal with 2 purple HP bar enemies, and you lose about 2.5 minutes, because purple HP bars are the highest in the game. So if you fall down here, you have to deal with a lot of stuff, and then you have to go through the entire parkour section that I'm doing all over again, which is very annoying. So we try not to get too involved with repeating this section over, because it is very long. So the thing that can screw you up here is what we like to call Dragon Engine shenanigans. So sometimes you'll run at this wall to do the wall run, and you just won't get the wall run, like, at all. It just won't happen. So, gonna get over here. So sometimes you run at this wall, you won't get the wall one, but I got it there, which is all good. Don't have to worry about the party pit, which is... I've seen many people get destroyed by Dragon Engine shenanigans there. You drop at the right time here, you can skip all of that by just doing a QTE. If you're playing on higher difficulties, there's a Standman Spark behind us, which restores your HP and gives you a ton of heat back. So this is an unskippable cutscene where the boys found a forklift.
Nice job clearing the path. Because of that, I found this.
So we get to see the boys with the forklift like knock down some doors real quick. Oh, this is an in-engine cutscene as well. As I said, it's unskippable. It has the main story thing, but it's just cool. I love cutscenes like this. Right, so this is the kind of the last set of regular enemies that we have to deal with before we get into the final boss fights. So we have this dude here who calls us a bunch of clowns because, you know, we drove a forklift through a door.
The fuck do you clowns
There he
think you're
goes.
doing? Your asses are dead!
So I'm going to get an attack boost from him, and then I'm actually going to run away from him because I want to go deal with some of the regular enemies before I deal with him. Because the regular enemies are more annoying than he is. Right, so now I've got my attack boost from being in Red Half. We're actually going to deal with this guy. Okay, just because I'm going to die if I don't do that. Alright, cool. Cool. That boy is down. Now I've only got to deal with these enemies over here, which is very useful. Let's take out that guy. You have to be careful against these guys because they can stun you very easily. Oh, that was insane. That was so good at the end. Right, so now I'm also in red HP, which means I actually have the damage buff from being in Wounded Tiger. Hopefully I can maintain that going through the last two fights without getting actually bodied, because you can just take damage randomly sometimes from random places. Yeah. So if I pop a toughness light, it's because I know I'm going to die if I take one more hit. So, this is another fight with Soma and a bunch of guys. We don't have to focus on anyone other than Soma to end this part, so we're going to go after Soma. And as I said, right, cool. Soma's down. Right, so I'm basically going to try not to heal again because I'm going to go into EX to try and basically survive using EX Immortal. So we actually get to, you know, see Soma one more time. And I think it plays Viper again, if I remember correctly, which is his fight theme, which is one of the coolest fight themes in the game. So it really goes with the horror aesthetic of this man. Right. Here we go. Right, he's in the fridge, so, because of course, where else would he go? In we go. Knife comes out the fridge. Oh, there's Viper. Such a good song. Right, so as I said, I'm in red health, which means I'm going to be doing more damage, and it's quite a lot more damage, so I'm actually going to try and maintain it the entire fight, which is very risky, but when you're in EX, you have EX Immortal if you activate it when you're in red HP. So, I'm going to try and use EX Immortal to basically get me through this entire fight. And cool, I got the dodge cancel there when he countered me. And then I want to quickly go use items. I want to use Tarna, Toughness Z, and Warriors Onslaught. So the Taran is so I have max heat going into the next fight. The Warriors Onslaught is so I don't have to enter the menu again. Because, as I said before, we're going to use the Warriors Onslaught to cheese the fight. We're going to cheese the final boss by using the Warriors Onslaught. Because why would we fight the final boss when we could cheese him? So, sadly I had to heal myself out of red HP because I ran out of toughness lights. So, I won't save the most amount of time on the final boss here. So, as you can imagine, the final boss is with Mr. Kuwana here. So we have a nice unskippable cutscene before.
If you guys don't back off, then I will.
So we basically get like their individual views about what's happening, and then we get to punch him. Because as we know in every Yakuza game, that's exactly how this goes. It's just the only difference is in Judgment, they don't pull their shirts off like they do in Yakuza.
You wouldn't be the kind of person worth saving.
Right.
This one is my fight, guys.
Right. So, after this, there's the first phase. There's a cutscene. Then there's the last bit of the fight. So it shouldn't be. So time is coming up after this fight, obviously.
Between the both of you.
It comes up on actually a pretty cool point. So
Answer.
Kaito here says something very stupid about potentially murdering people being alright. So I don't know why he says that. So the whole thing that's happening here is Kuwana actually has a bomb set, and the phone is the trigger, and he threw it down. He could have actually activated the bomb by doing that, but you know, classic action movie, it didn't happen. Alright, cool. Now we've got the cool boss intro over. Alright, so now we're going to swing at him. So we're going to walk at him. Right, so that's the first phase done. So one of the things I actually do like about this fight is how, in a lot of fights in Judgment, actually, especially this one, even in the first game, they use very dynamic like fight locations and such, so they can actually do some cool things. So here they're like jumping around all the or like all like the storage unit area of this warehouse, which I just think is pretty cool. All right, so this is second phase. As I did in the first phase, we're gonna hit him again, but instead I'm going into EX just so I can get a bit more damage because I have because one of my pieces of equipment gives me 30% more damage when I'm in. Cool, and time is there. There we go. So that was Lost Judgment. Hopefully people in the audience enjoyed. A few shout outs to some of the Yakuza guys, especially the guys that helped root this, like Froob, Pan, Tab did some stuff for it, and a lot of people did put stuff into this game, and it's been pretty cool watching it evolve from what we thought was kind of a long game, but into a really fast-paced, like, pretty short Yakuza game. So, if you guys want to try any of the Yakuza games, we do have a Discord. All the stuff's on speedrun.com. Most of the games have notes on them. So if you ever want to try getting into this series, there's a lot of resources to do so. Just skimming through the cutscenes so we don't get DMCA'd. So that's it from me. Hopefully people enjoyed. Yeah, so enjoy the rest of ESA. I'll be back later with some classic Street Boys later on today, so hopefully you guys will be around for that.
And Rebel, thank you so much for that wonderful run. If folks are interested in some more Lost Judgment or yourself, where can they find you?
Right, so Lost Judgment stuff, if you look on the SRC boards, you'll be able to see that we have some speedruns for it and stuff. And if you want to see me run this game, you can basically just watch me on my Twitch channel do it whenever I feel like giving it a go.
All right, appreciate it so much. Thank you for that incredible run. And it was thrilling, such good music, and I know I was having a blast as well. Coming up next, we have a run of Pikuniku by Green Snowdog. And that's going to do it for me for my shift tonight. I'll be back later in the week. I'll be back on Tuesday, but we're going to leave you in the extremely capable hand of Josh and Muzz. So with that, folks, we're going to head to intermission. So thank you so much. Thank you to Josh. Thank you so much to Rebel for the run. Appreciate ESA. It's been fantastic. And with that, we're going to go to intermission, and I'll catch you down the road. Peace.